What is going on, everybody? And welcome to episode number 87 of the Pre-Patch Podcast. We're a little bit late, had some technical issues. We were worried. We were, honest to God, we were actually out there looking for the Titanic submarine.
Oh God!
You
Too
know,
soon.
that's
that's a little too soon. Holy fuck!
I thought we were out there helping. I didn't say that. That's I'm just saying.
I'm just gonna put the thermometer back in Sin's mouth just for that. Just to
Look, I've been gone for 2 weeks, man. I've got to get back used to doing this. We're back. We're a little bit late. We had some technical difficulties. The internet, I don't know. 2023, these past couple months have been fucking hell. So thanks to whatever is jinxing us, we need to. You don't smoke sage, right? You burn sage, I think, right?
I mean,
sage,
I think at this point we need to do both.
Smoke anything, but
dude, yeah, it's kind of crazy, man. Like, legitimately, I don't know what we need to do, but we need everybody out there doing some, like, sending prayers, good vibes, sage in it, you know, I don't know, whatever to just send
sage it, bro.
way. Because it's been crazy. But right now we are down. Scruffy, he's on vacation, right? Like, that's what he's doing. He's out taking a vacay or whatever else.
He's off having a good old time.
Didn't the man just get a job? What the fuck? How did he's already on vacation? I had to like work my ass off for like a year to get vacation time. On vacation? That's bullshit.
Depends on where you work. My hospital, if you get hired in, if you got pre-planned vacations up to your first 90 days, they have to give it to you. So
that's nice. I've worked at places that I was like, hey, I've had this, you know, this paid off for like 2.5 years. We're going on a cruise. They're like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I was like, man, I've worked at places that literally, like, I was like, hey, by the way, I've got to have this weekend off because I got, like, my mom's going into labor or some shit like that. And they're like, no, that's not gonna happen, bro. Sorry.
Too bad. Can she delay it? Can she delay labor?
Meet your brother or sister some other time, please.
Right? Yeah. So anyway, we are here and we're back, and and it's good to be back. I know, again, you know, the show's been kind of crazy with absences and health and stuff like that. So just trying to get everything kind of squared away. So but
how are your
again,
ears, by the way?
Yeah, crazy. So I was out at the OTK. If you're not kind of aware of what happened last week, so or 2 weeks ago, I was out at the OTK Expo. I had a chance to go out to the expo and be there live, and was out there, you know, doing work. And I plan on having some photos for you guys so we could talk about it this week. But our news is we've got so much to already talk about. But was coming back, and I don't know. I never had any problems with flying before, and my ears wouldn't stabilize. Like, I couldn't get my eustachian tubes to like work themselves out. And come to find out, we thought I had a double ear infection, but actually my left ear perforated from the pressure. So my left eardrum had a hole, or like whatever has a hole in it, so that has to heal. And then my right eustachian tubes won't unclog, so I have to go next week on Monday to get tubes put into my ears to fix the issue. So fucking crazy. So yeah, it's a lot of ringing and very muted sounds. I feel like I'm 108 years old going, what'd you say?
You got earplugs in?
Do I have earplugs in? No.
Should you have earplugs in, I guess?
Oh, shit. No, it wouldn't have mattered. Like, it's just something with like eustachian tubes.
Pressure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pressure of it. So they're like, well, you know, we can give you medicine that'll kind of like calm this down and make it so it might not happen, or we can just put tubes in and you'll never have to worry about it again. I was like, well, what kind of dumbass question is that? Like, who opts to be like, yeah, you know, I don't mind not being able to hear for a couple of weeks. That's fine. So anyway, but yeah, so that's what's going on with my ears. So yeah, like I said, we have a lot to talk about. We've got so much news, and it's going to be taken up by really one company for the most part.
Pretty predominantly, at least.
Well, I guess technically two, because we'll move right into what we kind of always start off with. And if this is your first time on the show, you've got 86 episodes to catch up on. So, but we kick off every show with Twitch news and the things that are going on with Twitch. That's our Twitter profile, by the way.
That is our Twitter profile. Hold on. That's our YouTube. That's our Twitch. There we go. That's the one.
So we're guys again. We had some technical issues, so we're kind of I'm hosting and Enigma is doing all the back end work and pushing all the buttons. So, but
We had
we
to
kick
go
off.
to we had to go to PowerPoint.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, man, I need a fucking raise at this point, man. Not only
I'm
not only have I covered for him while he's sick, but now I'm covering for him when he's here. What the fuck is this
I'm
shit?
I'm legitimately, I want to go back to the days of like, let's just do let's just do a podcast in house. Well, I think it'd be easier and less like stressful just to fly everybody in, and then we'll just do the
On
podcast
the
and fly
weekly
everybody home.
basis?
Yeah. So,
Okay, I'm down.
maybe it's because we need to go to Kick. Maybe that's what the deal
Maybe,
is. Maybe we need to
maybe.
go to Kick. Maybe
Seems
that's
like
the
Maybe.
everybody else is doing it. Why not?
yeah. So, before we get into the Kick news, which will come up shortly because it's also involved with the Twitch drama, um, Twitch has been having a fucking hell of a month. When it comes to
Yeah, man.
Before
I don't know if they're destroying their platform or
we'll
what, but
It
we'll
has to
talk
be.
we'll talk a little bit about it later as well, like when we talk about the Kick platform, or maybe at the end of this. But did you guys see the comment that was made on their live stream today?
was this the
No.
one where the CEO got on the stream with the Kick streamer? Is that the one you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about this
Oh,
was like a Twitch employee. We'll just cover it really quickly before we go into this, because we'll have the bad and then we'll have the good. One of their the Twitch's employees. I don't know who it was. I don't know where they are in the Twitch hierarchy, but essentially he came out and was like, it's good to have a market monopoly, because then you could just charge whatever the fuck you want
oh, I did. I did see that. Yeah.
to. I'm just like,
Dude,
okay, Twitch, okay.
under the new CEO's name is Dan, right?
Dan, yeah, I
'Cause
think
I
Dan
don't
want
want to say
Robinson
Dan.
or something like
That
that.
was somebody
Yeah.
that said that on the live stream, or said
That
that in
was
the chat.
that
during
was
a live
somebody that said
stream?
it on the live stream. That was a live stream of a Twitch
Oh
a
no.
Twitch
Did you
employee saying that live.
did you see it where like I said, Danny Boy the man is like he's just like fuck all of it. Like I'm just gonna burn it to the ground because he also hopped on a stream and was like, you know what? Let's do a stream with a Kick streamer. And
I
like
saw that he was doing
I,
a stream where somebody was asking him questions about Kick, and one of them was like, "Does do you what do you think about this comments that's being made that Kick is making Twitch money?"
that was during the stream. That was
Yeah.
the person that was on stream with him was a Kick streamer.
Was that a Kick streamer? Yeah.
Like
So
yeah,
I saw little snippets of that. That one cracked me up, because like I don't understand what everybody's got an issue with. Like, what he said is accurate. Like all he said was like, "What do you think about Kick making money for Twitch?" And Dan, or the CEO, was like, "Well, what do you mean by that?" Because like obviously Twitch is an entity of Amazon, and AWS is an entity of Amazon. But the answer is no. Technically, Kick does not make Twitch money, because Twitch is not Amazon.
Right.
right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, it's just like
Well, it's
it's
just
just
it's
wild.
just a like we talked about it last week, right? Where it's just like it's just L's after L's after L's. Like Twitch is just continuously shooting themselves in the foot for like the past 2, maybe
I don't
3
know how they have any
weeks.
more toes left.
Yeah,
How they're even
I
balancing.
don't get how they have toes, how they have enough blood, how they have enough fucking bullets. I don't know where they're getting it all,
It's-
but holy shit,
but
man.
so they launched this. So two things launched today. Well, today and yesterday. So one of them is this, which is the Creator Hub. This is basically
One thing I wish I knew what I
Creator Home. It's essentially
He's playing a schedule.
Some sort of
a website or web page that is personalized for the creator, that's kind of like taking over the About Me page and making it, more centralized to
Yeah.
them, and they can so what a lot
It
of people
reminds
don't
me of like the old school MySpace like profile pages.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
kinda.
what this kind of is. And what's funny is that I worked when I worked at Streamlabs, we did this like this. We pioneered this kind of idea of like, hey, you're gonna have your own page on Streamlabs, and we're gonna direct traffic through that. The purpose of that solely was to make money. To drive traffic to there, to drive revenue for Streamlabs through tips and purchases and whatever else,
Right.
and to make it all centralized, right? Twitch essentially took that idea and said, yeah, that's what we're going to do here. The other side of what they're doing and why they're doing this, right? They come out to make it a shiny, this is a great tool for you and it's personalized, blah, blah. No, this is just another way for them to say you are in our ecosystem. You are in our, like, we own it. We own everything that's going on. So like the branding stuff that didn't work, that did not fly, it's still not going to fly and be kosher with creators, but it gives Twitch another hand in your jar of like controlling your content, right?
Well,
Like,
I don't want Twitch's hand anywhere near my jar. I'm just gonna say that right now. Like,
Is it a
it's
jar of
all
dirt?
up, it's all up in that jar. um, so that's the big, like, that's like what a lot of people aren't kind of seeing here. Like, they're just being like, oh, this is kind of a cool, thing. They're revamping the About Me page. It's not about that. Like, all of these steps are ways to kind of bring in, and because your content, and to be like, okay, this is now, instead of being siloed off, this is all being put underneath us. And if you want to leave, it's almost not, I mean, not almost impossible, but it's just very much of like, we can then do really whatever we want. Like, it doesn't matter what you say.
Can't get out from under the umbrella.
Right. So it's, I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. And so that was one of the things that came out. Then on top of that, they decided to launch Hyper Chat, which or Hype Chat, I guess is what they're calling it.
hype
Yeah,
chat.
hype chat.
Hey, quick question to all the YouTube streamers out there. Does this look familiar to y'all? Like, this,
This-
tell
this
me
one-
this does not look like a fucking super
Yeah,
chat.
this one
It-
cracks
it-
me
it-
up because like
yeah.
we've known about this for a while, so I don't know why everybody's getting all up in their hissy about this because like we've known about this for at least 6 months. They've just barely pushed it forward. Like this is just them launching it finally.
Yeah,
this
I
was,
think a lot of people
this was
thought that
announced
they
a long time ago.
had canceled it.
I
for
why
whatever
what, like
reason.
I don't I don't understand why they would have canceled it. Like this is just like free money essentially because they can take a cut out of this.
Well, they are. I mean,
Yeah.
they're taking
Yeah.
a 70. So
70
the minimum is
after
$1,
5%
maximum
fee.
500.
Yeah.
Right. 70/30 after a 5% fee. So they're still taking 30. They're still
Hey,
taking
man.
their cut there. Plus,
Oh,
but
at
that's-
least it's
that's more
70/30.
expensive than-
That's like the 70/30 that we should be getting for the sub splits.
Oh
Yeah.
my god. Yeah. But
It's-
PayPal, like it does. I don't know, man. I don't even think YouTube does a 70/30 split, do they? Like, I think their super chats are pretty standard to PayPal like splits, aren't they?
I would have to take a look into it. If you give me like a minute, I can look into that. But
I mean, the show is 15
I-
minutes late. I think we can give you a minute.
I do know that this is. It feels like they're trying to redirect from like Stream Elements or Streamlabs where they do the
Yeah.
the donations through those mediums. They're basically just trying to sync themselves into that. Does it have any way? Is it just pop up in the chat, or is there a way to sync it up with like
It
a
just-
voice
it
recording or
just-
anything like that?
No, it just pops in the chat. I've seen
Okay.
it in action today. It only pops up in chat.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's no, absolutely. I mean, Twitch does not like from the get go. I mean, they do not like Stream Element. They don't want anybody taking money out of their pocket. And I get it from a business standpoint. You don't, right? But in most situations, most companies will find a harmonious balance with the kind of try to find some type of symbiotic
So-
relationship.
So this is a reply inside of that actual and I'll pop it over so you guys can see it. This is a reply. I don't know how true this is or not, but it says, fun fact, the pathetic profit split of super chats on YouTube is a big reason I switched to Twitch. In the first place, no one who used super chats actually knew that 30% of their money was going to Google instead
Yep,
of me.
it
So
is a 70/30.
I'm
So
assuming
70/30.
it's the same. Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
I just confirmed it. It is a 70/30 split with
There you
super
go.
chats.
Okay, so it is. Well, then they copied YouTube.
Even
out
the
of
UI looks the same. Like the
It
little
looks
ticker
exactly
bar
the
at the
same,
top is
yeah.
exactly the same as the super chat, which I mean, it is what it is. YouTube's
Yeah,
borrowed a few Twitch features as
Very
well,
true,
but
yeah.
this coming at the time that they launched this, it just looks kind of pathetic.
It
I
just
guess.
looks like they're
whereas
grabbing
when
even
you-
more money.
Yeah, whereas when YouTube was copying like the emotes feature and the partner plan feature, it looked like innovation, or at least getting closer to the times.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't really have a problem with this. Like, I don't care. Like, to me, like, cool, whatever. Like, you're integrating more
I mean,
ways.
if I was a big creator, I would care because this is effectively going to cost them more money because of the conveniency factor. Viewers aren't going to want to go to a separate web page to do donations or do whatever. If this convenient feature is there, they're more likely to use it, and then you lose out on more money than you would get from, like, say, a donation through Stream Elements or just a PayPal donation or something like that.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say. Like, I don't like from a platform perspective. Great, you're integrating something into your platform. From a streamer perspective, that's where you care because, like you said, like yes, it is more money. It's just another way for Twitch to kind of continuously where other orgs are trying to give more money back. Well, one company is trying to give more money back. In a way, you're I don't know, like you just like continuously in a month of just being like, let's talk about how much we can fuck over our creators as best we possibly can.
We talked
Yeah, from
about
the
it a little
50-50
last
sub
week.
split to this. Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit last week. It's like if it really does feel like Twitch is in like this spiral, like they're in the death spiral essentially, right? Like they're kind of to that point where I think that Amazon has cannibalized them so much that like I don't think that they're profitable and they're worried about possibly being shuttered, which probably a good reason. There's probably a very big reason for them to be worried about that. I don't imagine Amazon's going to continue keeping them around if they're not profitable, which is going to be interesting to see. But I don't know, man. It just I can't sit
It
here.
just feels
Yeah, I can't sit here and defend Twitch for the recent shit that they've been doing because, like you said, it feels cheap. It feels very gimmicky. It feels very I need money. We need money right now, and we don't give a shit how we're going to make that money, whether it's off the backs of our creators or if it's through shady deals that we do in the background. Like there's just it does feel like it's just a very money grubby kind of move. And it's just a
Yeah.
continuous money grubby kind of move from them as well. Like it would be nice if it was like Twitch fucks up and then like 2 weeks later they do like 3 or 4 good things and then they fuck up and then 2 weeks later they do like 3 or 4 good things, right? That would at least make it a little bit better. But it seems like Twitch just is continuously on that grind of like, how can we piss off our creators as much as possible without doing anything to help that?
yeah. I like. Let me ask you guys this. So
Yeah.
we've been in we've been in this space for a long time, right? Like,
You all more so than myself, but yeah.
2012.
well, I mean, yeah, I mean, collectively though, we have, a shit ton of experience in the live streaming space and the content creation industry. Like, what I mean, to me, when I look back at what's like, this is some of the worst. I feel like across the board. Whether I'm talking, maybe not YouTube as much, but like just across all the platforms, I feel like we are in just this like dark times of these
We are.
platforms where it's like even just going through social media on these like it does not feel uplifting and bright like it used to feel, to be a content creator. Like it's like I don't know.
I
What are
actually
you
had a
guys'
moment
thoughts?
the other day where I got super sentimental about like starting out streaming and like all of the like it I 100% agree. This feels like a weird time to be into content creation, streaming and all that stuff.
I think
I
it's
was thinking back to like when I started on Twitch. Like I got sentimental about Twitch because Twitch was awesome back when I started streaming.
yeah.
I started right at the end of Twitch being awesome right before the downward spiral of it. So I got a taste of it, but I didn't get to enjoy the glory days that long. So
Yeah, I think the reason why we're starting to see a lot of this stuff is because companies. So I think we talked about this a couple of different times where it's like the whole pandemic and everything like that, right? When COVID first happened, all these companies saw this like just huge, just fucking huge boom of viewership. A huge boom, like a lot of companies, not even just content creation companies like Twitch and YouTube, right? A lot of companies that dealt with the public that was like that were providing entertainment like Netflix and other such streaming companies, right? Saw this just huge, humongous boom in uh intake of money, right? In uptick in revenue, right? And I think the worst part about that is that these companies cannot differentiate between there was a fucking pandemic that happened, right?
right.
People were at home, forced to be at home. What else were they going to do? They're going to watch Twitch or they're going to watch, a streaming platform like Netflix, right? that is no longer the case. So expecting to continue to bring in that kind of money is like it's just it's futile.
Asinine.
Yeah, it's futile to even try and expect to bring in that much money. We're seeing it with like Netflix, where they're trying to bring their subscription or where they have brought their subscription payment, the amount they have to pay for their subscriptions up, right? We're starting to see it with Netflix, where they're starting to ban people from having multiple accounts
And it's
or multiple
working,
people, and it's working.
which
That's
is
the
the most
worst
upsetting
fucking
thing.
part. Yeah. And it's just one of those things where, like, I think I don't know, man. I'm of the old age where it's like both me and Sin were in there when it was what's it called
Justin
Justin
TV.
yeah,
TV.
Justin TV. I'm like, I'm getting homesick for Justin TV, but I'm looking at like Kick, like, man, that's how Justin TV was, and I don't know if I want to go back to those days.
Yeah, it's just I think like and we can let's switch to the kick. I know we had YouTube kind of come up next, but because of what's going on and what we're talking about, like let's bring on kind of
You
the
want to go
kick.
to Kick instead
Um,
of which one was it?
we'll come to YouTube. It's just the kick sign like thing. I think when we're talking about kick, right? Like
I'll just keep it there.
Use your words.
well, I'm just trying to vote like because there's a lot that goes on with this. Like first off, the news around Kick is that Kick signed
You
Amaranth,
want to go to
right? They
Kick?
brought over
And XQC.
and then they followed up with XQC and
XQC was
XQC
first.
XQC
no
was
Amaranth.
first.
I
No,
thought
XQC was
XQC
first. Yeah.
was.
Yep.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
Amaranth was. Okay.
No, because in her announcement video, she like has XQC's deal up, and she's like, "Time to contact agent. Give me one of those deals."
Okay. Well, so then okay, well, XQC was first. First off, $100 million contract. $100 million contract over 2 years. That's non-exclusive.
Yeah.
Like
The non-exclusive thing is the wild
It's
thing, which
it's
is
the
the way
non-exclusive
that
thing is
most of those
huge.
things should be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, that is nuts.
I don't even think YouTube gives out non-exclusive contracts to their paid agents.
No, they don't. Those are you have to be locked in to YouTube. I've seen those agreements. So the other side of this is that there's also like the part that's not being talked about, and I think it just is now becoming coming out of light. Um, whether XQC wants to know have it come out or Kick wants to have it come out, it's not just straight cash. So they also gave them equity. Like he has equity inside
Yeah.
of Kick now. So they're giving away stock and equity in this platform. What this has spurred, and this is the conversation piece that Kick is subject and always around, right? Which I'm kind of getting a little tired of because I don't know how you guys feel about this, but like, yes, Kick is owned by Stake. Stake is a gambling site. Um,
Yes.
it's so do we condemn Stake or do we condemn Kick because they're owned by Stake? Because if we're going to take that route, then I do agree with saying, hey, we need to condemn Twitch for being owned by Amazon because Amazon is shady and dirty and underhanded and nasty and has, union busting laws and worker violations and all this. I mean, it, so
At the end of the day, I don't condemn Kick because of who owns them. I think that's low-hanging fruit to the cause. And yes, with all the other weird ass shit that goes on Kick, it is easy to point that out. But I don't think that the fact that they're owned by Stake is the biggest issue. Myself.
so that okay, I was to say because that is one big issue that a lot of people have, right? Like Pokemon has now come out. Like
The only place I
they're
could see that being an issue would be if Kick was like actively like heavily funneling people to their gambling site specifically, which I know they do to some extent, but
yeah, I mean the only place that you see Stake is in their is in their gambling section, which is funny. Someone pointed out today that actually Twitch's gambling section, casino and slots, has double what Kick has in their slot section.
Oh, because Twitch
which
has
is
double
crazy.
the viewers as
But
Kick. Like,
I was about to say Twitch has more concurrent viewership overall.
I know it is still a funny, ironic anecdote
Yeah.
at the moment, right?
I don't know.
to
My
look at,
my opinion on it is like I get where you're coming from with that. And I do understand that. And I don't agree necessarily with like Pokemon's like higher than I'm higher than thou attitude when it came down to it. Cause she did come off very
Condescending.
Yeah, like condescending, very like I'm better than you because I refuse to take that moral route. But I do agree with the fact that like yeah, we should be taking they should be taking responsibility for some of that shit. Like if you're going to, because obviously they're I think it was I think it was Aiden. No, it wasn't Aiden. I'm thinking about Aiden Ross. That's an entirely another fucking subject that like it like honestly, if Kick wanted to do well, I think kicking Aiden Ross off and kicking some of these other like fuckboy streamers off
I
would be
think
their
Aiden Ross is
best
too
fucking
deep
bet.
into the culture.
And that's
at
yeah,
this
that's
point.
the worst
I
part.
don't think they can get away
Yeah,
with
that's
getting
the
rid of him.
worst part is like I think they've built their entire platform. Well, not their entire platform, but their entire platform has been shaped very heavily by Aiden Ross and the other streamers and his communities and their communities, right? But
Right.
I do agree with you in stating that like if we're going to try and hold that moral compass towards Kick and Stake, we need to kind of look at Twitch, because Twitch is partnered with like the NFL, and the NFL has those
I have DraftKings.
the DraftKings and everything like
Yeah.
that, and that's a huge situation over on Twitch as well as like the DraftKings streams and everything like that, right? So like yeah, obviously
Right.
100% we need to take both of those into account, and we need to hold both companies accountable for it. I do kind of feel like if you're going to go over to Kick because you feel like Kick is going to be the better option, that is definitely something that you need to look at if you want to like, if morally you don't like the fact that some of the shit that Twitch is doing, you know, if you don't like some of the shit that Twitch is doing, and you don't think that Kick is going to be doing those same things at some point down the line. Granted, it's entirely, that's a down the line thing, right? But I guarantee you it'll happen at some point. We're starting to see the fact that like you have the streaming of of copyrighted content is starting to get cracked down on Kick. We've seen it with fucking XQC, right? Literally the day after
he got slapped on the wrist and then went right
and then went right back to it.
back
Exactly.
to do it.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where I think that looking at both of the companies, I don't know. You can look at Kick and be like, oh yeah, the grass is greener over on Kick, but the grass is only greener over on Kick because it's new and it's a brand new thing, right? I don't think that in the long run it's going to do well personally, but we'll see. I will agree with something that you've said where it's like because they have the backing of Stake, like they can probably just throw out these $100 million deals left and right. I don't necessarily think that's a good thing though. You know?
No, I think what these deals, which it kind of just hit me here, like as we're talking, is Aiden Ross was the face of Kick because that's what that was
He's
their
the only
first
one that
one,
came
right?
over, yeah.
Well, Trainwrecks went over there, but the big name went over there, right? And then now I'm like, you know what? They still wanted the fuckboy community, right? That's what still like their, I don't know, that's like their fucking charged energy they get out of this. But you know what? It's they brought XQC over to move Aiden out of the spotlight. Like
I don't know about
I
that,
think
man.
that well, think about it, because XQC is still, he's still edgy. He still has all the like his community is just as big as Aiden's, but it's not as like Aiden went off the fucking rails, man.
Yeah.
That dude went fucking ape shit off the rails. And I think even Kick, whenever they brought Drake over, right, and signed Drake, they sent him over to like somebody that was way like I know who Roshan is. He's a gambling streamer, way smaller than Aiden. And Aiden, like on stream, was like, "Why the fuck is he not coming to me?" And his agent on stream was like, "You're too fucking polarizing. Like you're too dangerous. You're a brand risk." And you know, I think that Kick is like, "Hey, we can bring over XQC." And that'll be the face of Kick, right? We'll rejuvenate, which is wild to me that like that's who you're gonna pick as your face.
XQC was the one that picked. Yeah, that was the one that cracked me up. Was I was just like out of the thousands and thousands and thousands of top tier streamers, they went for XQC. Like, granted, don't get me wrong, he's the most popular streamer. Like 100%. The last I think the last year, maybe 2 years, he has been the top streamer on Twitch. Month after month after month. So I understand why they went for him, because it was going to be a huge hit to Twitch, right? Like that's a huge money loss for Twitch, right? But like there's so you could have went for the second streamer, man, and been so much better off.
I mean,
Like
you
I,
could
I
have
think
gone, like,
this
again,
I
you
think I
could have
think the
gone to,
secondary streamer was Shroud. You could have went with Shroud and been 100 million times better off than XQC.
or I mean, again, go after OTK. I guarantee you could have gone after OTK for that amount of money.
I
and
don't know.
grabbed up,
I've been watching some stuff
grabbed up all of
from
them.
I've been watching some stuff from a couple of the OTK members. I Asmongold, Mizkif, and a couple of other ones where they've been talking about it, and like Asmongold is completely against it. He's just like, I don't want to go to Kick. Like I have no reason
I mean,
to go to
he
Kick.
wasn't
You know?
he wasn't against it whenever they were talking about that branding shit. Like he was open to it then.
I don't know.
So
Yeah.
but I just, yes, I agree. Like the $100 million thing, and on top of that, the one thing that we didn't even touch on is that they brought over XQC and their servers crashed.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
could not handle the
Yeah.
the ingest servers fucking crashed. They couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
So
it's a little weird, man. Like it's Kick feels very Mickey Mouse to me. Like it feels like they're being held together with duct tape and hopes and dreams. Essentially,
is it still too soon to say it feels like the Titanic submarine? Like,
yes, it's still too soon.
like,
That's still too soon.
Plexiglass and dreams.
Yeah,
Plexiglass and tighten down bolts with a screwdriver. You know,
it's
Yeah.
yeah, and also too, man, like, but now, and I give, here's what I'll give Kick. I'll give it to their marketing team, man. Their marketing team, their social media team, that their press team, their PR team is amazing, because again, whether or not you wanted to sign, you bring over XQC for $100 million, right, over 2 years.
Right.
You know what? Doc comes out and says $50 million. He tweeted out today, $50 million is what's going to cost me to go over there. If you don't think that Kick's not going, find me 50 million. Somebody over there is going, find me $50 million.
well that right there is like, I don't know, that kind of, I don't know why it rubbed me the wrong way, but I'm just like, come on, Doc. Like value yourself a little bit higher. Like 50 million for you versus XQC's 100 million. I'd be asking for like 200 million with the amount of fucking clout and traction he could bring over there. Like
I
I
feel
don't
like
know, man.
Doc would be like, as much as I don't like Doc, as far as like him as a person goes, um, he would be an appropriate poster child for a
For
new
sure,
platform.
100%. To
Like
me,
Well,
at
he
least
at
as
least
well, yeah.
he at least moves the industry forward in a positive direction as far as high quality, high fidelity streaming
Yeah.
goes.
That's the only reason why I'm saying it is like in comparison to like XQC, and we can talk about like the content of XQC versus like these other these other Twitch streamers or streamers in general, but like the quality in comparison to both of those, like I'm just like, you're spending 100,000 on a guy that can't or doesn't want to. Like half of his streams is him painting in MS Paint. Like
yeah. Well, that's, I mean, well, that brings up another point too, of like the landscape of streaming has changed so much in the past year, and whether that was COVID that caused this or what, but like, Bill, you talked about the heydays of Twitch,
Yeah.
and the heydays of Twitch to me are actually the moments on YouTube that I find are like the most enjoyable, because it's like, oh, it was about gaming. It was about sitting down, playing games, building a community, having fun, and whatever else. But like if you go to Twitch, like a majority of stuff is now, and Kick, it's like this IRL content. It's just like
Yeah.
it is,
Social media deep diving, that
right.
kind of
It's like
stuff,
sitting there
commentating.
watching. I literally was watching Asmongold stream as he was watching another person react to another stream. It's like, holy
Yeah.
fuck, man, how many levels of inception are we going to go down when it comes to consuming content? I am now watching someone consume content of consuming somebody else's content. It's I don't know, man. Like it just, the creation industry right now just feels like it's in a really bad spot.
And that's why I
and
stick with Markimoo, because Markiplier has kept it real and kept it simple.
yeah,
Very
I
true.
don't know. So moving on to we'll talking about Markiplier, we'll move on to the YouTube side of things. Because I believe that we could probably sit here and talk about Kick for fucking the entire episode.
I don't really want to though. It
Yeah,
makes me a little
I'm good.
nauseous.
I don't really
There's
want to either.
there's an odor starting to come from my computer just by bringing it up.
But VidCon is going on right now, and YouTube actually rolled this out, which I think is actually pretty well. They're testing it. They're testing this, and it's basically A/B testing for thumbnails, which I think is actually pretty interesting. It's a good insight for creators that are looking to better themselves as a
For sure.
as content creators and,
This
and
is a
wanting to
big
see
one
kind of
for this is a big one for us actually, because like
I was
that's
about to say, low
that's
key,
one
I'm
yeah.
gonna stress
That's
test the shit out
that's
of
one
this
thing that like
feature.
us over here on our YouTube channel, over on Pre-Patch Podcast channel, right? Which, by the way, if you guys aren't following it, please go and do so at your earliest leisure. That would be amazing. I That's one of the biggest things that like I run into, and I'm sure Bill does on his channel as well as on the Pre-Patch Podcast channel. Is like I make a thumbnail, and I'm like, I don't how well is that gonna how is that going to do? Like I'd like to know that. Like, and that's the worst part about YouTube is like you never know if the algorithm is going to hit you because of the thumbnail, because of your title, because of your description, because of your tags, you know? Like there's so much in there. And so them giving you the ability to like swap like this is really huge for me, at least when it comes down to like thumbnails. It's thumbnails for the most part, at least.
yeah. I mean, I think it's a great. I mean, again, it's a great tool.
I'm
and
also
I'm happy that
I'm also curious, like, how are they planning on doing this? Like, is it just going to, for different users, it's just going to show a different thumbnail and then they're going to give you a percentage of like how many people clicked on your video because of the
so
thumbnail?
what it sounds like from some of the announcement that I saw is basically when you go into YouTube and you're creating your videos or even your live streams. Right now, it's just one.
Yeah.
What it'll have is the ability to add multiple thumbnails, and it will randomly assign that thumbnail to the video, and then it's going to show you after like post runtime, whatever you want it to be, what garnished the most amount of watch time. So or
Okay.
which one
So
got
it'll
the
auto
most amount
cycle
of
through
clicks.
your thumbnails, and
Right.
whichever one's like after its trial period, whichever one did the
It'll
best.
post that one as your
It's
song
gonna post
thumbnail.
it, right.
That's
Right.
that's kind of cool.
That's
right there.
amazing.
Yeah, that's because
actually.
like that.
I didn't realize that's how it worked.
Yeah, not having to change anything.
Well, that's how they're
is
testing
huge.
it. Whether or not that's gonna happen is
Yeah.
two different things, but that's what
But
they're testing.
like completely taking that, like if all I have to do is just upload 3 thumbnails and then YouTube does all the work for me at that point, like that's just one less worry that I have to fucking deal with, right?
Yeah, because at this point, if I post a video and I notice, okay, this isn't getting my normal traction that I get. Is it the title? Is it the description? Is it the thumbnail? 3 things that go to mind. If I've pinpointed down that it's most likely the thumbnail, I then have to brainstorm and post that up and then dice roll whether that one does better. Check the numbers the next day. Okay, that didn't do it any better. Let's post up another one. And by the time you actually get to potentially a thumbnail that's
Whatever the
working as
fix
intended,
is, yeah.
you've lost the
You're out of
new
that window. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Yeah,
that's the
it-
biggest thing with YouTube is like that window is so short. Like even
You got
like
a 48
taking
hour
yeah,
window to
even
grab.
taking like a day and being like, okay, let's change the fucking thumbnail. Like you've lost 50% of your viewer base at that point, pretty much. You know, like a day after you post something, if it doesn't get caught by the algorithm, it's pretty much 90% not going to get caught by the algorithm for the
I've
most part.
saved maybe 2 videos
Yeah.
that were suboptimal after day 1 and were able to bounce back day 2.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
it's like just say Twitch. Take note. This is a way that you, because again, this is what does
Well,
this
Twitch,
do
you don't
for?
need to worry about thumbnails or anything.
No, I know, but
th-
I'm saying, but let's
they
just say
could
feature
innovate
wise.
in a yeah.
Like this is YouTube integrating a feature that makes them more money because it increases the watch time of people's
Well,
videos. Right? So
I'll also point out that this is also YouTube implementing yet another implementation not focused on streaming, but focused on long form content.
No,
So we have
streaming
a lot of
benefits from this.
issues
right,
after
but
you've
there are
streamed.
still there's
No,
still stream.
this works for the thumbnail while streaming too.
Right. It's any,
Does
so
it?
you're, so it,
As
yeah.
far
it's
as I
it's-
understood it, it's any video that is post. So long form content and streams. It doesn't do shorts because shorts don't have thumbnails. But anything that you
do.
upload a thumbnail to should have this feature whenever it rolls out.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know, man. It's a good
It's still a positive. It's still
it
a
is
positive.
no 100%. It's a
direction.
great
Like,
movement. It's a great positive movement, but I still am of the mind that like consistently day in day out, like YouTube continues to bring out amazing, forward moving traction for their platform. But half of the time, it doesn't have anything to do with YouTube streaming, like live streaming, which is again goes right down there, right down the same route that I've been complaining about with YouTube. Is like they want to enforce or they want to push that live stream, but like there's a simple way of doing that. Prioritize the fucking live streams.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of, did we talk last week about the affiliate program
Yes.
We
thing?
did, yes,
It was
we
in the
did.
notes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in the notes. Yeah.
I couldn't remember
Um,
if we did or not.
We did.
That-
we had
that
to
one
rush it,
there.
but yeah.
Yeah, that one there is probably the most streamer
is
focused thing
huge,
that
yeah.
YouTube has done in a while, just because super chats and memberships are primarily a
For sure.
streamer feature.
For sure. And
Yeah.
honestly, like again, like we talked about last week with that, if they can take that change, but also give something like Prime, like Twitch Prime, like a YouTube Prime or something like that, that would just be even like the cherry on top, honestly.
I know back in the day when they first introduced memberships, they did have it so that if you had YouTube Premium, you got a free channel membership per month.
Gotcha.
I know
Yeah,
that
mean,
was a feature, and they
they're
ended
not
up
pushing it though. Yeah,
vaulting it.
if it's still yeah, okay, so they did
It's
vault
not.
it.
It's not still a thing. They
Yeah.
vaulted it.
Like that, I don't know why they would have vaulted that. That just seems like I don't know. That's a huge deal on Twitch, right? Prime subs
Yeah.
is huge. So
all right. So that wraps up the streaming platform news. We're gonna move on to our next segment, which is what we are playing.
oh, what we're playing. Oh my bad, you didn't see that. You didn't see that. Oh shit. Change.
Let me know when you're good.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
So are you kicking off with me or are you kicking
I'm
off
kicking
with,
off with Bill.
with
Yes.
Bill? All right.
Bill's the
Uh,
one that you gave me.
Let's
They gave
go.
it first.
Let's
So
go.
Okay. So Bill, you were playing Final Fantasy 16. Hey, warning, there just this game obviously literally
just
dropped.
yeah.
Yeah,
Just
dropped
dropped.
today. I picked
So-
the most non-spoilery 15 minutes that I could, but this is a heavily cinematic game, like heavily cinematic game. So I can't guarantee you won't see something that might spoil something. So
You know,
but yeah,
if you're
I've
wanting
been
to if
playing-
you're wanting to play it, just like don't look at the screen. You can still listen. We'll try and be spoiler free as much as possible, but
oh yeah, I'll be completely spoiler free
just-
talking about it. But
The audio only.
it's I've been playing it.
it's
7
trash.
hours today,
it's bad.
right before the
it's
stream.
terrible, right? Like that's
Yeah,
what you're-
it's the
that's what
worst
you're
thing I've
gonna
ever played. I don't know
Gotcha.
what they
Gotcha.
thought
Yes,
they were doing.
I was right.
say.
Square Enix is a shell of their former selves.
Yeah.
Yoshi P should be fired. Along
Whoa
with Phil
now,
Spencer.
whoa now. Okay, now we're getting into moments that like that's fighting words, bro. I will punch you. Okay, you don't talk shit about Yoshi P, sir.
All right, but for real, the game's pretty good. The game is really good. It is a huge departure from any Final Fantasy game of past, in both positive and negative ways. There's some aspects that I'm really enjoying. Most aspects, actually, I'm really enjoying. But there's a few things that I have gripes with. So, Final Fantasy 16, first mainline Final Fantasy game we've had in when was Final Fantasy 15? It's been like 5+
It's been
years.
5 years, 5 or 6, yeah. Is it because Final Fantasy
it was
15 released in what?
2016.
So I was about to say 2016,
2016.
2017.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 7 years, something like that. Is my math bad? My math's real bad, isn't it? Yeah, this is 2023. Okay.
7
Regardless.
years. You're good.
7
7
years,
years, yeah.
Game is also completely next gen. There was no PS4 port to it. It is only on PS5 as of right now. 6-month exclusivity on that. Hopefully it comes to PC after that. Will we see it on Xbox?
I'm
Who
gonna
knows?
I'm gonna go and make a change.org petition to get
To get
this
it on PC
over
earlier?
on PC and Xbox because this is so unfair and why should we have Starfield when we can't have Final Fantasy 14? God damn it.
Yeah. But the game is a huge departure from classic Final Fantasy. It's still going in that action mode like what Final Fantasy 15 did, like
Which-
what Final Fantasy 7 Remake
Which
did.
we know, Sin, you don't like. We're aware.
Yes, Sin wants his turn-based, and you have Octopath. It's fine.
Okay.
But This it's weird. So this is probably the most cinematic we have ever seen a Final Fantasy be, a franchise that is already very heavy in its storyboarding and its cinematography. The first 2 hours of this game, I maybe had 4 combat segments total.
Yeah.
And that was what you can play in the demo of the game. Like the prologue is the demo for the game that's out right now is the entirety of the prologue. It is that first 2 hours of the game. And it is extremely story based. Also, you can pet Torgal. I was very happy to see that the goodest boy
Goodest
does
boy.
get the lovin's that he deserves. And but
If
back,
you
back
couldn't have pet the dog, would you have given it a lower score?
No, fuck this
oh,
game.
I
if you
already,
can't pet the dog.
I already said at the beginning it was 0 out of 10 games piece of shit if you can't pet the dog.
Yeah.
If they
100%.
have the dog being the only permanent companion you have and you can't pet him, that's an L. That's an L. And luckily they didn't go that route. But it's a very cinematic heavy game. You are going to be watching a movie. It honestly reminds me a lot of medieval Metal Gear. You know how Kojima loves making extremely long
For
cinematics
sure. Yeah.
in his games? It's paced out exactly like that, for better or for worse. So if you don't like your action being cut up constantly by cutscenes, this might get a little bit irritating on you. But I will say, from the story that I've gotten so far with it, it is extremely engaging. Like it has its hooks in me. I really want to know what goes on next. None of it so far has been dull or boring or made me want to skip a cutscene. I am fully invested in what I am seeing anytime the cinematics go off. And what I'm even more invested in is the combat system. It is an extremely engaging combat system. A lot of people are comparing it to like a Devil May Cry or a Bayonetta style combat system. It is not
I can
quite
see
as
it.
high flying as those, but it is definitely in the realm of that style of hack and slash.
For sure, for sure.
Um,
I can definitely see it. Yeah. It honestly also reminds me, and I said it in your live chat. It reminds me a little bit of like Dragon's Dogma to some extent. But
yeah, yeah.
which is not a bad
I've
thing
yet
at
to
all.
play I've yet to play Dragon's Dogma. It's on my list, especially with 2 being ported forward. But it's good. It's not overly complex, but it looks good and it feels good to play. The controls are extremely smooth, which you need for this style of combat. Um, Everything's very responsive. You have your dodges, you have perfect dodges, you have aerial combat. Like a Devil May Cry game, you have your knock-up moves that will translate into aerial moves when you ground the enemy, and then you do a super move on top of them. You have ranged attacks, you have melee attacks. You can kind of intersperse magic into your combos with certain button presses. The dog, you have a little bit of control over where you can like tell them to target a specific enemy, or you can have the dog heal you. Because anytime you take damage in this game, it's kind of like Bloodborne, where there's a little gray portion of your health bar that is what you lost. And if you ask Torgal to heal you, it'll slowly regen up that gray health bar as long as you don't take damage again, which I think is neat. So it kind of gives you a little bit of flexibility. Okay, I made a mistake. I can recover this as long as I don't make any mistakes while that's still healing up.
Pet the dog.
Um,
We just saw pet the dog.
Petting
I
the dog.
just want my. I
Sid,
want.
I've got it. I've got
I
it. I've
know.
got it right here. I've got it right here. Okay. This is how you can play this game, right? So what you need to do is anytime you attack something, as soon as your attack hits, pause the game. And then
Yeah.
unpause it, let them attack you and pause the game. And then unpause it and then attack them. Then you got there's your turn-based strategy right there, bro. Fixed. There you go.
I get that. I understand that I'm nostalgic and wanting something old school. I just and yes, realistically, like the only thing that is tying this to the franchise is legitimately the name. I mean, obviously there's the world, right? Like
it's got the world. It's got certain sections.
There's continuity. I'm just saying, like the mechanic of Final Fantasy has never been like that's not been the deciding factor of a Final Fantasy game, right? I like turn-based games. I prefer them,
Yeah.
not saying that like, and I guess again, I know that my nostalgia is kicking in saying, oh, I remember my Final Fantasy was turn-based. if this was not Final Fantasy and they scrapped the name Final Fantasy, like I really am. I don't want to say like I'm not hating on the game. Like the game does look like it's amazing and it's fun, and you know, I don't know about having like a fucking playing for 7 hours or 2 hours and only having like 4 minutes of fucking fight time.
Not
That's a
4 minutes,
little.
just 4 fighting segments.
Well,
Um,
that's because Sin again, like Sin is
I don't hate story.
adverse to story. You
I don't
100%
hate it.
do, sir.
No, I don't mind. So I just don't want to be fucking dragged like through a story. Like I don't know,
The
man.
story is
Like,
very engaging.
I like how he doesn't want to get dragged through a story, but yet he was okay with being dragged through the useless fucking story of Diablo 4.
I didn't get dragged to the useless story of Diablo 4. I skipped every single cutscene.
Oh god, well that explains even more. So
Or no, I didn't skip cutscenes, but I skipped the dialogue like that I could and watch the cutscenes.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, the game does look good, and again, I played like playing Stranger of Paradise. Like I know it's a different style, but it's still more action based. I played 15. I didn't have the game. I don't have a problem with it. Like I just again, yes, I am playing to a character of like I would. Like, do you still have me up as a sick? I just realized you still have me up here
Oh,
as a sick.
yeah, I do.
I mean, I guess I'm technically still ill, but like I'm not. Okay. Anyway,
The illest.
I mean, you're just
Um,
glad I don't have that thermometer shoved up your ass right now, bro.
shut up.
Just saying. Let's go and make sure
Anyway,
you're good over there too. Okay.
So
just yeah.
the game feels good in a majority of the aspects. One thing that I will that's detracting from me at this point, and I don't know if it's going to change in the future. You know how a lot of people had issues with Final Fantasy 13 because it was super duper linear. There was not a lot of like moving from zone to zone. It was basically cutscene to like a small walking segment in a very narrow hallway to fight, and then boss, and then that's it.
Yeah.
This is following that formula pretty heavily at this point. There's been a few zones that have opened up a bit wider with some outstretching stuff, but it all funnels into the same point. And you don't move from area to area organically. It's all done from a world map that you will fast travel to those locations, similar to what Final Fantasy Origin was. Again,
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to open up later in the game, but that is honestly probably the only detractor that I
I don't
have
I
is
don't think that
that
the
breaks me up a little bit.
I don't think the game was ever slated to be like an open world game. Like correct me if I'm wrong, but like I don't think it was ever really advertised as
It
an
either
open
was
world.
never slated to be an open world game, or it might have been early in conception, and then they added that.
Well, wasn't that one of the big complaints about 15 was that some like the openness of it was kind of there was some dull moments of like trying to drive
Yeah,
from one place and so people were just fast traveling anyway.
yeah. So 15, the open world while you were driving around the regalia was pretty
Boring.
not super engaging. And same thing with Forspoken, honestly. It had much of the same issues that 15 did. So I think they were just wanting to not be an issue because Square, I don't think, is comfortable in the open world space at this point. They've tried it twice, they failed at it twice. I wouldn't say 15 was a failure, but it definitely wasn't the highlight of that game.
Right.
So they went with the mission based thing, and the areas themselves look amazing. The fights are the most organic. You can still tell that they're fight rooms, but they feel the most natural out of a Square Enix game that we've had so far. Um, and the areas are just a joy to wander through. And I, for me, it's a downside, but I don't think I'm. I think I might be in the minority in that opinion. I think a lot of people would rather not just walk from point A to point B if it's not going to be super engaging. And I don't think they
That's
had a
me.
way of
Yeah.
getting
Like
it to be super engaging.
that's me with like Final Fantasy 14 is like that. I'm glad that they have teleportation in Final Fantasy 14 because otherwise, like, yeah, the world is pretty 100%. You're gonna see some really beautiful like vistas and everything like that. But like between that was one of the biggest annoyances that I had for 14 was like up until the point that you obtained like a mount and shit, like just walking
Right.
between the different areas was boring as shit and it took forever. So
Well, this is a perfect transition actually into our next game, which would be Diablo 4. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's any final points that you want to kind of make to this, but
Nah, I'm only 7 hours into it so far. I'm enjoying it very much. We can have a more fleshed out conversation next week once I finished it.
All right.
nice.
There you go. Final
So
Fantasy 4 or
mo-
16.
There's a demo
16.
available if you have a PS5 and you want to give it a try.
Still gonna make that
yeah.
petition. I'm gonna make it tomorrow. It's coming out.
But another game that does that has open world, but has I think still a similar issue, right? Is again, Diablo 4 has been out. This is my first time on the show since actually being able to talk about it.
We were saving it for Sin.
Yeah.
But
I could have talked
appreciate
about it
that.
last night or last time.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about it last week.
I wanted to talk about it too.
I got a lot to say about this game this week, so we're gonna have an enjoyable fucking conversation on this one.
So you brought up open world and not being a fan of, or being in the minority. I don't think that you're actually in the minority. I think doing open world is actually and doing it well is actually
yeah.
very, very
It's
difficult.
extremely difficult.
So Diablo 4, one of the draws that I like to it is that it does have this open connected world feel, like unlike Diablo 3 where it was very, act heavy, zone heavy, kind of stuff like that. What myself and Enigma have both talked about is the world itself is beautiful. And Enigma said it, like it's great to have a beautiful world, but when you're walking around, especially
there's
when you
nothing
don't have
there.
a horse and a
Yeah.
mount, and you kind of feel like, is the world the only thing I'm here to see because
Yeah.
there's not enough to do?
This game is legitimately up until you hit Act 5 and get your horse. This game is like the Walking Simulator 2023. Like legitimately, it's almost
rough.
it's almost as bad as Daisy. Like I think Daisy is a lot worse for it. Like it's almost there, but it's like it's like Daisy's little brother in terms of like walking sim.
The problem that it does too is like, and once you get to, but don't get me wrong, let me tell you something. I'm loving the game. I am fucking dumping hours into it. I am mainlining this game. Like I'm loving it. But
Blizzard chill.
Yeah, sure. I don't want to talk about how much money I've already put
Yeah,
in
I
this
was
game.
about to say
We're not
you
bringing that up.
don't
not bringing it
know
up.
how actual like truthful that is.
I don't want to know how much money you've put into Overwatch too.
Don't worry. I bought the fucking edition that I got fucked over on. So for Overwatch 2. Thanks, Bill. Anyway, Bill, have you beaten the game? Have you gotten
I
beaten
am at the end of Act 5 right now.
Okay.
So
I'm
I'm in slow rolling it. I've got like 3 characters at level 20, and then my main, which is the Necro right now at level 45.
So this is mainly to Enigma then. Like I think personally that the world becomes more enjoyable not once you just get your horse, but literally once you feel that you finish the campaign, you open up the Tree of Whispers, and now you have that content
Well, you're
to
not
like warp to, travel through, and
yeah.
actually do shit.
You're not ramrodded into the storyline, which don't get me wrong,
Right.
playing the storyline was amazing the first time. The first time. Let me just again air quote the first time. I am not looking forward to the new season, having to go back through that fucking storyline again.
Wait,
Like,
they confirmed
They
that
confirmed
you
it. Yes, they confirmed
Wait,
that
I know
you
you had to
have
create a
to
new
go
character.
back. You have to create a character, and it's going to be exactly like the Diablo 4 or Diablo 3. You're going to have to completely redo the entire storyline over again, just like every other Diablo that's come out.
Oh,
So,
that's miserable.
yeah.
I thought it was
to
just
get
you
all
had to
the
create a new
Lilith
character.
statues again.
You won't
No,
have to get the
Lilith
Lilith statues.
are
All of your
count.
unlocks. So like all of your unlocks when it comes
Like
down to
map
like
and
the
stuff
Lilith
is open
statues,
too.
the map will not be open that I know of. I think you're still gonna have to uncover it with the Fog of War.
And you won't have the horse.
But the Lilith statues will. I think you will have the horse. I'm not.
You will have your
sure
horse.
about
Your
that.
horse is
Thank
account. Your
God.
horse
I'm
is
pretty
account
sure that
bound.
anything account bound that you have. So when it comes down to like the Lilith statues, the Oval increases, the Paragon. I don't know about the Paragon
Your
points.
Paragon board won't be unlocked.
And I'm not sure about the talent points. I think you're gonna have to regrind for the talent points, maybe.
You'll have to. So you're
What
gonna
about
if
reputation
they're
and
making
stuff?
if they're making it a regular thing, like a brand new build, you get your. It's just like you create a new character, except you are gonna have to go back through the story. Like if that like they've got to. I think they'll backtrack on that. There's no fucking way that they're gonna make us go back through the story again.
I
Dude,
don't
that
think there's going to be enough content in the season. I think it's fluffer
It
for the
won't. Yeah, no,
season to slow
100%.
people down. I don't think they have
That's
enough
it's
going on
miserable,
with it.
man.
just let me
Blizzard
make
don't give a
sure.
fuck, dude. They want you to play as long as possible with as minimal effort as possible. If they make you play through that story again, that's a whole lot of content they don't have to make because
That's
it's still going to
miserable
eat
if
up
they
your
make you do the
time.
story again. Because unlike the story, because the problem is that the way that the game is set up to do that, it Diablo 3 was set to be like, cool, I can just boom, 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 boom. I mean, I could plow through that content and get to the end game to where I need to level my seasonal character, which is what I mean. All of these end things are about the end game, stuff. If I'm having to replay through the fucking story, not that it
Okay.
takes a terrible amount of time, like
Okay, so this is so Diablo 4 classes. This is everything that we're getting in season 1. I think I misspoke a little bit. So he said Rob Ferguson says that the amount of the map that you've exposed going into the season in the Eternal Realm where your current characters are will be what you see in this season. So you don't have to
Okay.
go and reveal the map again. You'll see the capital city waypoints too, although you'll have to revisit them to activate them. Finding all the Diablo 4 altars of Lilith is quite a pain too, so good news is that you won't have to rediscover those either. The ones that you
Cool.
found will stay marked, and you'll keep the stat bonuses, oval capacity, and renown claims from finding each of them. We'll preload you that renown, Ferguson explains, meaning that you'll start on your season 1 character with the renown you've already earned from map discoveries and altars. You will still have to clear out dungeons and strongholds as well as doing some side quests to max out your renown, however. So you won't be able to keep all of those high-end renown bonuses like bonuses, Diablo 4 Paragon bonuses, etc., etc. Ferguson says that the team is continuing to reevaluate what should and shouldn't be reset, so perhaps further changes will come in the future. I could have sworn that he said that you were going to have to redo the.
I think he just said you had to have a new character. It was not. It wasn't that you had to redo the
It's
story.
very possible. I probably interpreted that as I would have to do the storyline.
We
again.
will see.
If
suppose.
if we
which
have to
that-
do
that
the
part
storyline
makes-
again, I am going to be so upset because like I love the storyline. It's great. Lilith's a badass. Love her 100%. Don't want to watch it all again. Don't want to go over it all again.
Yeah, that like honestly, the last part, this tells you kind of how much I stand for story. The last part, the last section of that act, I loved it, but it got long in the fucking tooth when it was like,
Yeah, it
okay,
100% did,
Jesus
yeah.
Christ, we're killing this person again, and we have to go through again. Like, I don't want to ruin it because Bill's still going through it, but
Well,
like,
I know who you're talking about there. That
Yeah.
that one's yeah, I'm
So
already
that's-
feeling that, and I'm not even to the point
That's
you're talking about.
that's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. But moving back into why did this pause? Stupid
I
fucking.
think it
button.
paused when you went to look up other
yeah.
things.
Yeah, I don't know why I
Um,
paused. So there you go. It's back. But moving back into it, like it is a very big issue that I had with the original, like with moving through the campaign and everything like that, was like in order to get to certain storyline missions, it was sometimes like a solid like minute walk, of just me walking
it's
through
a long.
of just me walking through basically desolate, barren map with intermittent enemies spread throughout it. I think that at one point I walked from the main city that you start out with to the city up to the west, the northwest-ish area, the one that's you meet the second Haradrim, right? I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Donan, I think was his name.
Donan, yeah.
But like that right there, to me, I think I ran into like 5 packs, and I was just like, "This is the boringest fucking thing. Why do I have to walk? Like, why would you make me?"
Well, I mean,
this?
you're even seeing it. You're even seeing it here,
Yeah.
and this is where I think the game fails. Is you're even seeing it here inside of a dungeon. Like I have been walking since you started talking.
Yeah.
And I have not seen
Well,
one
and
enemy.
it's a big and like. So, do we want to talk about my gripes with the classes?
Y-
We want to
yeah.
go into that.
Well,
'cause-
I want to give a little input. I haven't
go ahead.
felt that way with the moving across the map and stuff. Disclaimer: this is my first Diablo that I've actually committed time to. But I played a little bit of 3 and a little bit of Immortal, but that was really it. Um, that being said, I don't mind the moving around too much. I have been playing primarily in co-op, so maybe that's helped out things a little bit. But I felt like while the camps and stuff like the mobs and stuff aren't as often as I would like, I do find myself on each travel coming across at least one or two of those world events that I find like engaging. Like I see that little gold ring start popping up on the mini map, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, let's fucking go, boys.
For
Yeah,
sure.
I mean,
They do a
the-
good job with like giving you like busy work, like side work, like the
Yeah.
world events and everything like that. And I'm not saying that like the entire world is completely empty, because it's not. There is enemies out there, but it's one of those things where it's like, when I'm moving through the world and I'm trying to get this storyline done, because obviously I know that like the real game doesn't start progressing until you've finished the storyline, right? Like the real game. If you want to
Right.
get into like the grinding, like the real game
That's what I've-
starts when you
yeah.
complete the storyline.
That's what I've
and-
heard. I've been talking to my cousin about it, and he's like, "Why are you even paying attention to the
Yeah.
story? Just skip all that shit and get to the end game." I was
Pre-
like,
pretty
"But
much.
But I'm having,
Great-
but I'm
granted,
having fun."
I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. If you're there to have fun and you're there to enjoy the game, the storyline is great. The game is enjoyable. The storyline is in, it's very entertaining, and it enraptures your attention, right? It grabs your attention, and you can get connected to the characters. But like if you're and I don't want to
If
say
you-
like
I
I don't
think-
want to say like a real Diablo player, but like if you're an
I think it's just if you're a
experienced
veteran
Diablo
action-
player.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have a feeling, that the person that you talk to is probably a veteran action RPG
he
player.
is He
Right. So
is.
so they know, just like we know, like not that it's like
It's
I mean,
not,
I
not that
enjoyed
it's
the
a waste
story.
of time,
I
but like
Right.
it is kind of a waste of time.
right. Like the point that you get to in these games is to get to the end game to be able to start getting your grind and your loot and whatever else, which but that is fun. But for some like you who is just experiencing for the first time, don't skip the story. Like
For sure.
don't like go through the story, go
do
through
the story,
because
and
it
then
really
you can
is.
and then you can skip it. Like once you've
I would say
once
if
you've
it's
done it.
Diablo 3, skip through the fucking story because Diablo 3 story to me is boring as shit.
Yeah.
But this one for sure is engaging, as far as story is concerned.
But
And
yeah,
also, I think that once you get your horse bill, you're gonna see.
I've gotten my horse.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind.
yeah,
All
you,
right.
you get your
I
horse
stand
at the
corrected.
end of 4. So he's got his horse if he's halfway through 5.
Yeah.
That's true.
But yeah, so I don't know. I agree with you that like again, like I said, like the map isn't empty, but it's pretty damn near empty. Like honestly, it's more of a chore to go out and find those those camps of enemies than it is if you just like just let me go. I don't care. I don't want to sit there and kill the same bullshit over and over again in the open world if it's not going to actually do me any good. That's my opinion
Yeah.
personally. So
You want to talk about classes?
yes, I do. I do 100% want to talk about classes because I hate the classes in this fucking game. Like 100%, dude. And it's not the classes, right? It's not the classes. It's the way that Blizzard has treated the fucking classes, right? We have not had a fucking buff since the game released. We have granted we didn't
think
even
that's
have we didn't
true.
even no, we haven't. We have not had a buff. Every single patch that they have released since the original what's it called? The Service Slam. Other than the Service Slam when they buffed the
Buff the necros a
Necro
little bit.
the Necros a little, every single patch note has had nothing but nerfs to classes. And you can check me on that, but I'm almost 99.9% positive that's true, right? So we have had no and
Even if it's
if
not,
we
it's been
have
overwhelmingly
it's been
slanted.
it's been very, very minor, right? So we have had pretty much nothing but nerfs to the classes, which already makes the game feel rough to me because I'm just like, okay, so I'm sitting here grinding out my power slide druid, my pulverized druid, right? And they nerf pulverized druid. Well, there goes that fucking build, right? Now I have to spend another 6 hours grinding new gear out just for them to fucking nerf that gear, right? So what do? I say, fuck it. I'm just going to go and play another class. So I go and pick up Sorcerer, right? They nerf fucking Sorcerer, the Arquash, right? So there goes that fucking build right out the window. Another 6 hours worth of grind time, right? So what do? I go and play fucking Rogue. What happens when I play Rogue? They nerf Rogue as well. It's just been nothing but like I pick a fucking class, and I still don't think that Necromancer is it, right? Like I'm playing Necromancer right now. I've been wanting to play Necromancer since the game announced, right? And since they announced that the Necromancer was going to be there. Necromancer is not a Necromancer. The summons are not good. They don't fucking work. They're too weak. I feel like a fucking babysitter, right? I'm constantly fucking babysitting my fucking summons because they take fatal damage to one gray mob hitting them, right? And if it, the only way to fucking counteract that is to invest 20 fucking points into passives, that still they fucking get completely smashed by a fucking boss within the first 2 fucking seconds of you encountering a fucking boss, right? Like
Plus
there's no
passives are a super feels bad
Yeah, it's
during
rough.
like the leveling process.
It's
it,
so
it
bad.
doesn't feel like a power jump.
Like yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like legitimately, if I'm investing that many points into a passives that are supposed to make my summons feel like they're not like they're supposed to be there for the power creep, right? They don't feel that way. I am currently playing a blood necromancer where I'm like a half blood half summoner necromancer, right? I am to the point now where I don't want the summons anymore. I think I would personally do better if I just sacrificed the summons and got the passives, right? I would probably be doing a lot better, probably be doing be more tanky, be doing more damage, right? If I had sacrificed those minions and just said, fuck it, I'm just a blood necromancer, right? That's my
Right.
biggest thing with the entire class like architecture right now. And I was watching a video, and I'm sorry I'm taking up a lot of time with this, but like I have been
No,
waiting for 2
get it.
fucking weeks to get this out of my system. But I was watching a video last night where he was kind of going over the stats. They released some stats the other day for like the most played classes. And then we also have stats from like the race for the world first to 100, right? The 1,000 to get on mommy,
Which is completed, by the way.
it is completed, yes. To get
It is done.
on mommy Lilith's statue, but they released some information. Necromancer is the least played class in the entire fucking game, right? On top of that, Bone and Blood are the 2 most played builds for the Necromancer. Minions, surprisingly, is still 20%, but that's literally
I
for
was-
people like me that are like, I
That-
need to make this work, right?
Yeah.
20% of the player base is like, I know summons suck, but I'm going to try and make it work. I have to try and make it work because it's the fucking class's entire reason for being. You don't play a necro to be a fucking bone lord. You don't play a necro to be a goddamn vampire. You play him to be a summoner. Like that's what you play necro for, man. All right, I got my shit out. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sam.
Okay, I want to come in with a couple things. One correction. So, or not correct. Well, okay, we have had a buff that did happen to all classes that was pushed out on June 5th. So a game launched June 6th. This was
What?
June 5th. This was
What was that buff?
technically so this was there was every class got a buff. I mean, there was
Of what?
except for hold on a sec, except for no, every class got buffed. So barbarians got a buff to, I mean, you want me to go through each buff that they got?
Well, just give me like a general like
general
overview of it.
swaths was that, like, so necromancers, everything got buffed for necros.
It doesn't
to
feel
make,
that way.
it says like damage got buffed
You
across
have to
the
remember
board
this
for
is the
all of.
pre-launch patch.
So this was June 5th. So yes, the game technically wasn't live. And also, to be fair, I will say that they stated that buffs and things like that were not going to happen this month. So
Well, but
that's
still.
not excusing that.
Yeah,
the
that's
class
not
feels-
excusing anything. Like that's not
Right.
like that. The only reason why they came out and said the buffs weren't going to happen in this patch is because they're getting
People
so
were
much
pissed.
shit. Because every single fucking class feels rough.
I wouldn't say every class feels rough. I think
mean,
that, like,
for the most
rogues
part, a
and-
lot of the
and
like
sorts
rogues
feel good.
If you're not like okay, if you're not playing
Twisting Blade
specific,
Rogue.
if you're not playing specific broken builds, every class feels rough. If you're only playing the base level, like the most what's it
I mean,
called?
it's definitely meta. If you're playing, if
Meta
you're not playing a
builds,
meta
yeah.
build, like you're definitely hurting. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Barbarian, once I switched off my bar, was once I got to in game, I was like not struggling, but I was just like, well, this is boring.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, Barbarian
you know.
also built for endgame, and I think it's still like 90% whirlwind barbarians.
Right.
And
which
bleed.
which I
Thorn and bleed
yeah.
builds as well is huge on them. So
my
Gotcha.
biggest complaint with the classes is the fact that I think they went so heavy into the Paragon board and the legendaries being
Yeah,
what's going to drive your character forward
100%.
versus I think that there's a balance that needs to be set with saying, hey, your skills should like the skill tree really is sad. Like it is a sad skill tree.
It's
There's not a
terrible.
lot of
Yeah.
choice variety there.
There is
Um,
zero choice variety,
you
man.
know,
Like
If you want
legitimately
to be
very
competitive in
few.
the end game, from what I hear.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just
Which
not,
which granted, moving from like Diablo 3 and even Diablo 2, like they had their meta builds in both of those games. And yeah, 100% you can be like, well, if you weren't playing a meta build in like Diablo 3, you weren't actually playing Diablo 3 very well, right? A lot of people would have thought that way, you know. But like I still feel like even in Diablo 3, which was huge with meta builds, you could still get away with other builds. Like you could still feel fairly powerful with just like a random fucking build that you made off the fly. In this
right.
game, you can't do that. There's no fucking way.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's rough. I mean, it definitely is a rough situation. With the build variety because also like in Diablo 3 we had a lot more options to spells like we had
Yeah. And that is one
and
thing that I hate about the sorcerer as well, is like coming from like I mainline sorcerer a lot in Diablo 3 because obviously they didn't have necro until they released it in that last in that I can't remember what the DLC
like
name
half
was, but yeah,
expansion
the
thing.
hex
Well,
the
yeah.
expansion or whatever it was, right? But like I mainlined sorcerer for the longest time, and like this sorcerer feels like half of a sorcerer. Like it feels like most of your abilities are just gone. You know, there's just no
Yeah.
customization. Like there is absolutely zero customization. When it came down to like sorcerer in Diablo 3, you could customize like what your abilities did. Like if you didn't necessarily want to be uh like a fire sorcerer, you could make some of your abilities into like lightning or poison or et cetera, whatever it was, right? In this one,
Right.
you're shoehorned into you either go down the electrical route, you either go down the fire route, or you go down the frost route. That's all you got.
Now what I will say the because I know we've bashed on it and I at the very start of this I said like I'm loving the game. I'm putting like I'm putting a shit ton of hours into the game. I have 3 disc plates that I literally bought that I'm waiting to put up that are Diablo 4 themed. Like I've spent more money than I probably should on the game. Um,
Blizzard chill.
sure.
100%. Yep. Blizzard chill.
But the positive stuff I will say about it is that the hook that is there to continue to grind out with right now as it stands for me is that hunt for those uniques and the legendaries because they made it a little bit because they made it more difficult to find these items. Like it wasn't just like a hey, we're going to because hey, he's not like candy because in Diablo 3 they did. They pop I mean uniques, stuff like that. Like you got your build extremely fucking quick. And when you got it, like the only thing that you were hunting for were now max rolls. And to me, that was like fun for a while, but at a certain point, I don't fucking want to just sit there and run for max rolls. Not to say that this is not going to happen in this game because that will, but there is a hunt because you don't know like when the uniques are going to drop. There are these unique things that are happening. So I hope they build on that and then fix like they're not going to be able to I don't see them adding fucking new skills to the game.
No,
Um
I don't see them doing
but
anything with that.
I
They
think
might
that they
edit the current
can
skills that they have, but
yeah, and maybe they can give it into like a Paragon board system. I don't know, right? But I think that there is a system that
that's
they can buff to
that's
make
the
the characters
worst
feel better.
that's the worst part about this game, is like they really did go down the route of like your entire build is based off of paragon levels and what uniques you have, right? Instead of making the current like the base skills feel decent, so if you wanted to, you could just make a build off of the base level skills that you get. It's a lot more focused on like you have to have this legendary or you have to have this unique, you know. That's what it feels like to me,
Yeah.
at least.
I honestly
Yeah.
think that they needed to have about I would say 5 to 10 more
I think
abilities
they
per
needed like
class.
2 or 3 more trees in your
Yeah.
in that that class, like in your ability tree, right? Like they needed like 2 or 3 more branches, in my
I'm
opinion.
sure it'll
Yeah.
be DLC in the future.
Yeah, you'll have to pay
Hopefully.
for it. Well, 100%.
Yeah.
Um
It'll be $20 and you can
Well,
get 2 or 3 more trees.
one thing that I want to talk about, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, is I wasn't expecting this to be a game where everything scales to your level. Is that like a normal Diablo thing?
No, this is the
And
scales. The
how do
scales
you
is
feel
everything for
about it? Because
D4.
I'm of the mindset that I would prefer like level gated dungeons to
Yeah,
like the way I like my progression is I like static, like the overworld can scale to you. That's fine. But like your dungeons, this is a level 70 dungeon, this is a level 80 dungeon, that kind of stuff.
for sure.
And you're scaling up to like take those dungeons on instead of, okay, well, everything's going to be roughly your level and your gear is where you do things quicker, but it's always going to be a challenge no matter what. But you have access to everything all at once. I
It
feel
has
like that kind of
it's been
limits
a
the
it's been a complaint of mine for sure. I think that's one thing that makes the druid feel extremely rough to play, is because the druid doesn't do like they can do a ton of damage. Don't get me wrong, druids do a shit ton of damage depending on the build that you play, right? But like early on, when you're playing a druid, it feels so fucking slow just simply because everything scales with you. So like you progress to a certain point and you feel like, oh, I'm starting to actually like be able to take things out quickly, and then you hit that scale mark and then it boosts everything up to your current power level, and you go right back to square one where you're just like, I'm getting murdered by everything, you know.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
well,
I like a more static progression, I guess is what
So
I'm
do I.
saying.
Yeah.
So how do you feel?
it's funny. Well, so okay, they do it, and they do like half and half, and the problem is they don't do.
Do they?
Yeah, so you
Yes,
have
so
parts of the world are
certain parts of the world
still
are still
right,
locked
like are
for,
still
yeah.
a character class. So after you beat the game, right, you start a new character. You can go to well, you don't have to start. You can start a new character whenever, but you start your character, and like if I go from Kaivashad, then I go over to the desert area. I don't know
Wait,
why
wait.
the dry
How
steeps.
how did you pronounce that town?
Kaivashad,
Kiovashed.
whatever. Fucking this is a starter town. I don't give a fuck
Kravashad.
what you say.
Hypershot shit.
You start,
I don't speak no Russianese. It's Kravashad, man.
oh my god, the dark steps are level gated at
Are you sure it's not the dark steeps?
They're oh my god, they're level gated at a certain point. Um, you're making me want to like literally puncture my other ear. So anyway, it's so you have parts of that, right?
Okay.
So you still have like where you're really shouldn't be in this zone, but what happens is that once you can still go there, you can and things will still scale uh appropriately to your level once you've hit that place. What I was going to bring up where the bad part is that everybody bitched about the hunt the world first, right? The or not world first, but the first world first 1,000 hardcore. Everybody talked about, well, it's unfair that there people are going to be able to have the map unlocked. Just I want to what I want to hit on what makes it unfair, and this talks about the leveling system is that's great. So you stop them from being able to do that. 2 days ago or a week ago, we were at 167 people, right? That had unlocked it. Or maybe 2 weeks ago. I think it was a week ago. But
Mhm.
either way, not that long
We're talking
ago.
about the power levelers.
Yes. And so they did nothing to stop power leveling, which I get in Diablo is a thing. Like that's always been a thing to be able to just power level
Boost to end game.
somebody. But I find it hilarious how nobody is being like, wait a minute, like, hold on one second. So 5 people got to end game, or 167 people got to end game, and then they just took 200 of their friends. And actually, fun fact, people were selling runs to get them to that point. There was a guy that was selling it for $200 a pop to
I
get
believe
them
it.
to the 1,000 mark.
It's easy money,
so
baby.
the power leveling to me is where it's a problem because it still scales. And if you have someone like Enigma that was higher, like he's helping me through with my Necro, getting me up. I went through what fucking like 15 levels in like a matter of 5 minutes with him.
You didn't. You
Doing
went
stuff.
through 3. I got
No, I
there and
did
I
not.
got you to like third. You were at like 11 or 12, and I got you to like 15.
No way.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm pretty
to
anyway,
put it in a
regardless.
better perspective, my cousin started a new hardcore character yesterday, and within an hour and a half was up to level 50.
Yeah, and
Woo!
like the biggest thing with that is like I understand where you're coming from with that, but like you got to also remember that like again, people have the information now. Like it's been a week. People have been posting like the best place to grind for experience, the best place to grind for money, the best place to grind for like they've been in Blizzard's been actively like trying to nerf that too. Like a lot of their nerfs that they've been doing have been on like
XP
dungeon
generation.
XP generation and everything like that. Yeah. So like that's also a huge reason why you're starting to see like a huge boost in people starting to be able to like hit that rank or hit that 100, right? Is because we now have the information that those people obtained prior to them fucking playing.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. The leveling system, I will say once you get past 50 is when to me I started to feel like fuck me, man. This is slow going.
Yeah.
How is the end game though? Is the end game
I mean,
feel good?
I enjoy it. Like I said, I mean, I enjoy going and
Do you like grind though?
Yeah.
I do, but I also the nice thing about the end game is that it though you don't like if you're like me, you're once you've gotten to the end game and now like you're going through all of like the whispers of the damned or tree of whispers.
Whispers.
You're doing like the PvP stuff. You're kind of just going through the points to go see them. But I will say it is taking you to places in the world that I think if you didn't spend time exploring, like you actually get to see. So the one thing I will say is that yes, we said that the world is barren, but it is in like I have enjoyed spending time in the world, going from the different points to see the different like, little nooks and crannies of what artistically is there from the world that they did build. And the end game, I mean, I like it because it is, yes, I go from here to here to here. I know what to do. I get like I'm getting drops, I'm getting unlocks to be able to get myself to the next world tier. I'm getting Nightmare Sigil dungeons. I think it's more fun than what D3's end game was. Because D3's end game became just I'm gonna run greater glyphs, greater rift dungeons.
I mean,
and just
that's
keep,
what they're
keep
that's
pushing
what they're
and keep pushing and keep
that's
pushing.
what they're trying to push on D4 though. Like
I mean, they're doing it with the Nightmare
they don't
Sigils.
yeah they don't want you out in the open world doing events and shit. They want you doing Nightmare Sigils. That's what they want you to be doing. That's the
Right,
end
but to be
game
able
that
to
they
get
want.
And that's
But
why
to
they've
be
been
able to-
nerfing dungeons.
That's why they've
as
been
much as they
nerfing
have been.
dungeons. That's why they've been nerfing and buffing. I think the next buff that we're gonna get is for Nightmare Dungeon like loot drops and everything like that.
Well, right. What I'm saying is that you still have to do the outworld open world stuff to be able to get the Nightmare Sigils to then run the Nightmare Sigils. Whereas before you would just in D3 you'd unlock the glyphs, right? And or the
No, you had to do open world in
greater
D3
rifts.
to get greater rift keys.
You could still, yeah, but you could still do the greater rift without, no, or you could still do the rifts without having to make them a Nephilim, or you could do the Nephilim rifts, not the greater rifts.
Yeah, you could do the Nephilim rifts, but that wasn't end game. The greater rifts was end game.
Well, it was also all part of in game. I mean, that
Well,
was
no,
you didn't do
Nephilim.
until
The
you-
Nephilim stuff was like the open world shit that we're doing, like the events in the open world in D4. Greater rifts is the end game for D3, and you had to do open world stuff. You had to do quests to get the keys for that.
I don't know. I still
So
feel like this
there's
is
no
more compelling.
difference between this one's end game and D3 other than you're doing it with a bunch of other people, essentially.
I don't know. I feel like this in game is more compelling than what D3's in game was.
I like the world bosses.
The world
Yeah.
boss is fun.
Yeah.
I've done two of them. I did Avasta, or what was his name? The one that we had in the beta? Ashava. I did Ashava the
Ashava.
other day, and then I did Greed or whatever his name was, the dude with the giant swinging
Chest.
hammer the other day. That was
Yeah.
pretty cool. I actually think that one was easier than Ashava or whatever his name is. I think that one was much easier than Ashava, like 100 times easier than Ashava, man.
Yeah, I think again, there's a lot of we've talked a lot of bad, not or we've nitpicked the game a lot, which saying it
Doesn't need to be
rightfully
nitpicked.
deserves.
Yeah.
It does. It rightfully deserves to get nitpicked. What I will say though is that jumping into the game, playing it when you're in it and you're playing it and you're engrossed, right? Even though there are some pain points, it's still in my mind, I still have fun. I am still having a blast with it. I am still compelled every single night to turn my game on to get some grind time in to play it. It's still new.
I got 350s now. 350s,
so there you go.
I'm still like, this game, fuck, I hate this. Why am I making more characters?
Why am I still playing this?
I already know that this fucking fourth fucking druid that I'm going to build is just as shit as the last druid that I fucking built. Why the fuck am I building a new one?
He's a little crazy. He has 3 fucking druids. I don't do
well,
that. I don't
that's
make the same
because
class
that's
over and
because
over
this game, Diablo and Blizzard in their infinite knowledge have made it so that you can't respec your fucking character easily. If you build a character out to be something, it costs hours, a lot of hours in some cases, depending on how
And a
much
lot of
gear you
gold.
got, and a fuckload of gold to respec shit. If you're far enough into it, right? It's easier to make an entirely new character than it is to try and respec and re-gear one character.
Do you think they'll ever add loadouts?
I sincerely fucking hope so. And
I
I
think
hope that they
Just for
bring
quality of life.
I hope that they bring down the gold cost as well for respecing, because like
Yeah, the gold cost
agree,
needs to come down.
I agree that the gold cost needs to be there. There needs to be a gold sink, but that is too much. Entirely too much. And it's been too much since the beta, and they knew about it and they still fucking released it.
Yeah, it's rough. Because I am a person that respects a lot, and I have burned through some cash, like some
I
gold.
respect a lot too, but I
Yeah.
also haven't hit the end game where the
Well, and
price
again, the end game.
is like
It's not just
to the
respecing.
moon.
Yeah, it's not just respecing your characters, the tree, the talent tree. When you get into your paragons, respecing your paragons costs millions.
I thought your Paragon was free. I think your
No,
Paragon respect
no,
Paragon is free.
your paragon is not free. It costs millions.
Is it free? Is it free for the first one? Because I haven't. Even, I've been respecting.
It might be.
Paragon
It might be
and
like
haven't had
it might be like the talent tree where it's like it's free up until a certain point. But yeah, if you get far enough in it, it costs millions.
because I know the big sink that I'm having a problem with is the imprinting. Like that
The
shit.
imprinting is huge too. Yeah,
is
imprinting
fucking-
imprinting is rough with gold costs as well as like special crafting costs too. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, okay.
I have
It is.
I have a ton of
It is
issues
on the
with
Paragon.
it.
I've not.
Yeah,
I've not hit it yet on
it's-
Paragon, but
it's
it does
huge on
cost
the
gold.
Paragons, dude. It's huge, and the fact that you have a ton of Paragons that you like, if you're sitting there trying to make a build, and
Ooh, 10 million is what it costs to respec a whole Paragon tree.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
So-
Oh my god,
yep,
that's crazy.
it's I don't know, man. There's good things, there's bad things. There's a lot more bad things in my opinion than there are good things, but it's fun. It's Diablo. I don't know how much fun I'm having with it, but I'm having some fun at least.
I don't know. I'm having a blast.
I
still am
wish
loving the
they
game, and-
wouldn't have fucked over my necromancer so hard, but you know.
I get
Glad
it.
everybody else is having
Alright.
fun on their specific on their classes. I'm not.
Motherfuckers, y'all know that we got 3 minutes to go through all
I
of
know,
our
right?
fucking
I
news.
was just about to say, like,
Holy
legitimately,
shit.
we
All right.
talked way too long about that, man.
Okay, here we go. News section. Y'all about to get some speed rounds. I mean, it's mainly talked about one fucking
We went a
one
half
thing.
hour over last week, so who the fuck cares?
I mean, we were what 15, 20 minutes late, so we got that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are going to be talking, sit back, relax about Microsoft and Sony for the betterment of a good half of the show, the rest of the show, because the FTC Microsoft hearing is taking place right now. And holy shit. I don't think anybody thought it was going to be the fireworks show. I thought we knew there was going to be a little bit. I was not expecting the show that we are getting and like all of the fucking things that are coming out of the woodworks. But I don't know if I don't even think I think Sony was like, oh fuck, like I don't know, man. Like Microsoft came in with a lot of shit, and this is coming off basically the FTC blocked Microsoft, and it was this lawsuit against them, and basically they were coming. This is now the culmination of them saying, fine, we're ready to come to do a hearing to do FTC versus Microsoft to talk about why we should be able to buy out Activision or acquire Activision Blizzard. Obviously, this has been an ongoing thing, but this is kind of it.
A very
This
ongoing
is
thing.
it. Like, this is it. If this doesn't, if something fails here, then yes, this is done as far as the U.S. is
Well,
concerned.
it's not done. So Microsoft came out the other day and said that essentially if they lose this FTC battle right here, the current deal that they have with Activision is done, right? Like if they lose the battle for this current one, they have to go into renegotiation with Activision, essentially. So that's both a good thing and a bad thing for Activision, and both a good thing and a bad thing for Microsoft, because essentially if this happens and Microsoft doesn't have to pay him the 69 billion or whatever it was, however much it was, I can't remember how much it was. If they don't have to pay him that, granted, they're probably gonna have to pay him more after this whole bullshit. But it'll give the chance for, and I guarantee you this is what'll happen. Activision will just go, okay, well, if the FTC and on all these governments are basically, they don't want us to be purchased by us as an entire conglomerate, us as an entire company. They don't want us to be purchased by Microsoft, right? We're just going to fracture our company and sell it to fucking Microsoft in pieces.
Yeah, I mean the FTC will still step in regardless. Like they're not gonna let them have all of it. Like maybe they can grab Blizzard, maybe they can grab King, which is probably honestly the two. I don't know. I mean, I know King is the one that they really want, but
I'm sure King will be
anyway,
big, but I think that, and I don't know about Blizzard. I think Blizzard, they could there, it's neither here nor there with them. I think Blizzard makes a lot of money, but like you've pointed out a couple different a couple different times, King makes an amount of money for him. But also COD, like I think COD is huge for them, right?
well, COD may be huge for them, but Sony didn't think so.
Yeah.
Sony was not basically kind of came out and or it came out during this that there were some email threads that were going back and forth that were basically kind of saying like, hey, even without Call of Duty, like we're not really concerned. And this was like from Jim Ryan to another exec inside of Sony basically saying, hey, it's not an exclusivity play at all. That they're thinking bigger. Like I think that was a pretty damning email, like coming out,
100%. Because it just shows that literally Sony just wasted everybody's time essentially by playing
Jim Ryan. I'll say Jim Ryan. I know
Jim Ryan just wasted basically everybody's time by basically stating that they wanted to go after them because they felt that Sony was the biggest play there, when in reality he knew that it wasn't, right?
Yeah, that, and then the other thing that came out too, which I think is pretty damning, and like what, man, like the moment that you could have to like step in the right direction, just completely whiff it, take a page right out of Twitch's playbook and go the opposite way, is to say, oh well, you know what? If this deal goes through, fuck you, Activision. You're not getting info on the PlayStation 6.
Yeah, that was the biggest one for me. It was just like, you want a good, you're already complaining about the fact that if you lose COD, then you're fucked essentially. You want to know a good way to lose COD? Dare them to fucking not go to you anymore.
I was about to say, threaten to not allow development on your next system.
Like you want a surefire way for Activision to be like, okay, you don't want COD, fuck you, you're not gonna get COD. That's a way to tell them, for them to be like,
it blew me away. And then on top of that, Microsoft goes, okay, fine. Like, we don't know the order of kind of like how all of this necessarily came, or at least I don't know the order that all of this came out, but I could just see like this being like this tit for tat, and Microsoft going, okay, well, that's fine. Also, by the way, your handheld's going to cost $300 fucking dollars.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
somehow that got leaked of being like, oh, so I really feel like Sony went into this going like, not, again, I don't think that they went in expecting that they were going to be like standing like triumphantly, there to push back on Microsoft. But I don't know if they thought that all of their shit was just going to be like out there for the public to see. And Microsoft they had no qualms with being like, well, we're gonna out your shit, like, on it. So yeah, I mean they're saying that that the handheld's gonna cost $300.
Less than $300.
Or is it less? I thought
Yeah.
it was like, I think
Microsoft claims
right
Sony's upcoming handheld codenamed Project Q will cost less than $300.
Okay, well, I bet so. $299
Probably. Yeah.
This is what it'll cost. Real quick, on what is your guys' thoughts on that? I mean, if that is a true price point, do you think it's overpriced? Do you think it's underpriced? Like, I know we don't know a lot of
over $120 is overpriced. That is the bare minimum that I would spend on that thing.
120?
Like bare minimum.
Damn, I was expecting you to be like, I was expecting 250
or bare maximum. Sorry, bare maximum. Like, I think that's the most they could reasonably charge for what that thing is.
What was the PSP's cost? Do you remember? Wasn't it like 190?
PSP?
The Vita?
The Vita. That's what I meant. Yeah. Was it? Well, I thought it was like 190.
PSP came out at 250 whenever it
250.
launched.
Holy fuck. That was a lot of money back then too. Holy shit.
Yeah, it was a good handheld though, man.
And the PS Vita was 200.
Yeah. Still that's like 200 back then is like 400 now, dude.
This thing, 120 is the most I would even reasonably consider, and even then, I think it's unless it does something more than what we've been told, thing's a
We'll
piece
just
of junk.
we'll just give this hearing a couple more days. You'll know exactly what it does at the rate that Microsoft is going. They also came out to say that they are losing the console, that they've lost the console war, which again I think to the members of the show is not
It's not a surprise.
a shock,
Like
right?
that's
Like
yeah,
we've said before that they've kind of that the console war they don't care about or whatever else. I do think that it comes as a surprise because I honestly think Sony was probably more like, oh well, we're here we're still battling this war, and Microsoft's kind of like we don't
oh, we already lost it. We don't give a shit.
we lost a while ago, man. We lost last generation. Like we're good, kind of thing. And I don't know. I mean, after reading all of it, what are your guys' take on all of this? I mean, you think that this is good for Microsoft, bad for Sony? Doesn't matter. Like, what is your take on this? On all of it together?
Go ahead,
Oh, it's
Bill.
all bad for Sony. I think it's garbage. I hope that Xbox is going the route we think they are with third party stuff and just becoming a dev, like or a
A
publishing
publisher.
company after this. I think that would be the best route to go. But to be able to successfully do that, PlayStation's going to have some bend to them to allow that mutual, like beneficial relationship.
For sure. Yeah, I don't know.
Agree? Ah,
I see this as a lose on both ends, honestly, because like while yes, they've lost, like it says right here, like Xbox is consistently ranked third of the three behind PlayStation and Nintendo sales for years. Like years and years and years and years, right? I think having their name out there at least was worth something, right? Like having a console out there at least was worth something to the people that were fans of that console. Like Xbox, if they just give up on Xbox consoles, which granted, I don't think they'll ever give up on the Xbox consoles. I don't think you'll ever see a day where there's not an Xbox, right? I just think that they've given up. They're just like, fuck it, we're done battling with you, Sony. We don't care anymore, right? I I think that's the only bad part to me is if they stop complete production at that point, right? I think it's bad for Sony on the other hand because Sony's entire philosophy, their entire reason for being recently within the last like 5 years has been we're the winners of the console war, right? We're the people that win the console war. We're not the people that are in a console war. We're the people that win the console war, god damn it, right? What are they going to do when they don't have anybody to combat that console war with, you know? Like I don't understand what they're going to do. Are they going to take on Nintendo at that point? You know?
well, I mean, I think that's what Xbox is kind of saying, like that the version of this console war, right, that we are in, we have lost, and we're surrender. The white flag is there. The version of the console war that is to come is a streaming is where is your content being able to be picked up at
For sure.
and
Yeah.
played, right? And I think that's where Sony and Nintendo. I don't know. Nintendo maybe not. Maybe I think Nintendo can do whatever the fuck they want. I mean, and kind of still survive. But I think these two platforms have to understand like where I don't know, like because I think Sony is trying to still hold true and plant their flag in the old school method of consoles. That's it. And I think Microsoft is saying fuck consoles, play everywhere. And to do that, you have to have a yin and yang. You got to have both. You can't just have one, right? We only have one, we lose, right? So if we don't have both,
For sure.
it's not a good thing. So um I think that, and I don't think Microsoft's getting out of the console game
Yeah, I don't
either
think they are
completely
either.
because they
Yeah.
they also said that the also leak that happened was that the next generation of consoles was speculated for 2028. So if you wanted to know when we're going to probably get the new PlayStation 6 and the new Xbox, whatever, it'll be 2028. That was another leak that happened. I don't think I put it in the notes in here,
Yeah.
but it happened like right as we were going live. Um, so I don't know. It's just this whole thing is fucking wild. And then on top of that, Microsoft, and again, they snuck this in. Like all of this stuff is kind of happening, and then they kind of like went, "Oh, hey, by the way, whoop, the Game Pass and price of Series X are going up." Like that's also happening too.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
that was a weird thing that popped up. I understand why they probably did it because Sony did it last year. Um, I don't know if
Well,
they feel like there's more value to the console or if the production of the consoles has went up some way. Because Sony's reason for upping the price was due to
shortages.
changes in the hardware.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Xbox Series X is also having changes in some of the hardware and prices that upped production cost, but it just seemed weird, especially considering they were saying that they aren't super invested in the console wars as of right now.
Well, I don't think you
Well-
have to be invested in the console war to again. I don't think they're ever not going to sell a console, right? Like they're just not in a war with Sony, like they've been in since pretty much day one, right? Like I think they've just given up. They're just like, fuck it, Sony, you do your own thing over there. I don't think that they're ever going to get over the fact that like their consoles are not profitable, right? Like that's never going to be a thing that they just accept. So this wasn't that big of a surprise
What-
to me, at least not on the Xbox, on the Game Pass part. The Xbox, the actual console, maybe a little bit, but like I've always thought that like the Game Pass is severely underpriced for what you get.
Well, so two things. One, I remember the world where the longer a console was out or a
The
product was
cheaper it
out,
got?
the cheaper it
Yeah.
would get.
Yeah.
What the fuck dystopian world
For
we live
sure,
in
man.
now, where the longer something is out, the more expensive it becomes. Like
For
they did it
sure,
with
man.
the Quest. They're doing it with
But
these systems.
Then again,
Like,
I remember a world when games were $49.99 instead of $79.99. So
yeah, it's wild. The other
not
point that I want to make
only
about
I'm sorry to not only $49.99 to $79.99, but also having an actual physical copy of your game to only having a digital license to play that game. Like
and they
that's
weren't, and they
wild.
didn't all launch buggy as shit.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
fucking
That's fucking
waiting for
wild
day
to
one
me, dude.
patches. For to be fair on the price hike, and yeah, we're talking about the Game Pass price hike here. The price of Game Pass has not changed since 2017, so
Yeah.
keep that in mind too. Like
For sure.
it's gone. It's been the same price, and the price that is changing is the console version of the Game Pass, which is even more of another step in my mind of them kind of saying like not devaluing or pushing it away, but I think you're right. I think it is undervalued. Like I think it is still you could probably easily charge like $20 a month. Don't do that.
This
But
is
you could charge $20 a
this
month.
is also a good point. Is it Celia?
Yeah.
Celia, I'm sorry, Celia in chat is also pointing out that they're only raising the prices in certain countries. So U.S.,
Yeah.
Japan,
Yeah.
Chile, Brazil, and Colombia, will not have their prices raised, but anywhere outside of those countries is going to raise. So that makes a little bit of sense, just because of the fluctuation of like the dollars in some of those countries are not as like the prices, like the actual tangibleness of that dollar is going down in a lot of places. But I don't know. I'm
Thanks,
of
world economy.
yeah, I was about to say, I'm of the opinion that again, like you said, like I miss the days when a fucking console or when an item in general got older, it got cheaper, right?
Yeah.
I'm of that. Granted, with Xbox Game Pass, exactly like you were just saying, I personally feel that it was criminally underpriced to begin with. Like $10, $10 or $14, I think is what it is for the big pass right now, right? I believe
Yep,
at least
$14.99.
was, to me, that felt like that was severely underpriced for the amount of games that you got, right? Just being able to play whatever, as well as the fact that a lot of games that are coming out for Xbox are day one Game Pass, right? That
Yeah, as long
that
as
to
they're not
me-
like day one.
as long as they're not day one
Game Pass,
bugs,
like
yeah,
Redfall.
buggy pieces of shit for sure. But still, even that though, like that's a perfect example of why Xbox Game Pass is such a great deal. I didn't pay any money for that, essentially.
Yeah.
You know,
No, you're not wrong. I get to try it, and I don't have to fucking pay.
I
for
paid
it.
$14 to play hundreds of games and to have the ability to not have to pay $70 for that buggy piece of shit, right? So that to me,
Right.
that's a big drive for Game Pass in my eyes, at least. And I'd be willing to pay the price hike. I don't know if I'd be willing to pay for too much more of a price hike. I think that it's at the current price that they have it when they hiked it, which I think it was it's going from $10.99 to fuck, what was it?
10.99 to 11.99 is just a buck up
11.99 and 14.99
for that version.
and
Yeah.
14.99 to 16.99. I don't
Yeah.
think that I would pay too much. I don't think I would pay $20. Like that's a World of Warcraft subscription right there, right? Like that's
Yeah.
kind of the sweet spot. I don't think I would pay too much more for that. I think at that point, if they start going into like the $20 range, you're starting to go into that zone where you're like, this is starting to get a little bit ridiculous, guys. Let's haul back on
Yeah.
that just a little bit, you know?
My mindset on this is, have they done anything recently to warrant the price hike? To which I think a lot of people would argue no.
I
don't
again,
think-
I would argue that
I would
they've
disagree.
I would
Yeah.
I would argue that again, like I said, I don't think that it is ever like I don't think that introductory price of 10.99 should have been the price for this long. If they were going to hike it up, they should have hiked it up back when it went full into release, right? Like
I mean-
I do agree with you that recently they haven't done a whole lot to like warrant it, but in
And
the
they
past,
also don't have anything coming out in the next year that's really like outside of Starfield.
I don't know. I still disagree. I would still. I don't mean to interrupt, but I think it's not fair to say that it's not it. That what have they done recently? When you look at the games, even like let's not talk about like I'm not saying like first party games, or I'm taking out Redfall, or like I like just games in general. I'm looking through the list right now of continuous games that they continuously to bring out to this thing, and it, it, 9.99 like. Yes, to warrant even $1 hike on, yeah, dude. There's so many fucking games on this list that you can play right now. There's probably I've been scrolling since I've been talking. There's probably a total of gotta be over 100 plus games, easily on
Yeah.
here. And you're talking about they're all old shit. Like I mean, you're talking, you know, the Yakuza games are on here, which even up to the newer ones.
But this is all stuff that they had at the old price point. What have they done to warrant the price increase?
well,
Is what I'm
so
saying.
I think continuously to bring out games and also to say like these games that are coming, yes, they're not out yet, but you are going to have them day one. Like you will have them day one on Game Pass. Like we don't know when we're going to necessarily get them. And yeah, you're price hiking me now, but it's kind of like a pre-order, right? I'm getting price hike now to know that I'm going to get, like, I know those games are going to come out and I know they're going to be on Game Pass. Like I will be able to
Whatever
play.
copium you guys need to have for a
So-
price hike that's unjustified.
okay.
I mean,
It feels like an unjustified price hike. They haven't done anything in my eyes recently to up the value of Game Pass. That's just my take.
okay. I mean, I get it. I
Oh,
mean, to
that's-
each their own.
yeah, that's your take.
I
I think it's a wrong take,
Yeah.
but that's just me personally. But I think again, it plays into that. I don't think that's like paying the $10. I don't think that they've been criminally under evaluating what Game Pass was worth since the start. Like, granted, yeah, they haven't done anything recently other than add more games to Game Pass, but I think that again, Game Pass has been worth. We've said it multiple times on the podcast before. The Game Pass has been worth the money, if not more, for a long time.
what would have been let me ask you this, Bill, and just I'm not picking. I want to know, like, legitimately,
No,
what would
go
be
for it.
what would have need to happen to warrant a price hike in your eyes? Like what would be the thing that would say, okay, this is worth it? Is it
I would want to see. So if the Activision Blizzard deal like 100% locks in, and they added a bunch of Activision Blizzard titles to Game Pass, that would justify the price hike. That being said, that would go against what the FTC's threat, like saying that they're going to do and all that stuff. So it would just kind of confirm what the FTC's suspicions were. Regardless, that would be one selling point. Two, I want to see more of what they have gotten out of the Bethesda deal outside of the two games that we've gotten so far. I would potentially say Starfield launch, if it launches well, would be a justification point, especially with Elder Scrolls 6
No, I
at
was
some
about to
point
say,
coming
yeah,
out.
we know that we have Starfield coming out, and we know that we have Elder Scrolls 6 coming out. That's going to be a day one on Game Pass.
Yeah, but
we
those
have,
are
we have
all
Fallout.
a while
Yeah,
out.
we have
It,
Fallout 76, I guess, if you're excited for that, sure, whatever. You
yeah.
know, Redfall, sure, whatever, you know. That but that's I don't know. You're
So okay, well, what about okay? You said about the Activision stuff coming through and seeing that come on to Game Pass. What about Riot? And I know that that is like you know it's niched out to people that play Riot, but like if you have Game Pass and you have you play League of Legends, you have all the heroes unlocked, right? Like that's
not just that, you have all the heroes unlocked in League of Legends, you have Valorant, all the shit that they give you in Valorant, etc.,
like
etc.
do
I
you
don't know.
and I'm not again I'm not picking a fight. I'm just asking counterpoints to like you can feel how you feel, right? I just
Right.
I'm just looking at like different things of saying like you know what are these
Those are niche examples, and if you are a new player getting invested into those games, then yeah, Game Pass might be worth it for that specifically. It's a case by case basis on the Riot front. I would think it all depends. If you're an older player that already has most things unlocked, there's no value there. But if you're a new player that's getting into it, yeah, I could see the value in it.
Yep. Okay. All right. No, I mean, again, to each their own. I think.
But I don't think making the argument that they've been underselling for years and now they're gonna upcharge it is valid. They have like if they have been undercharging it, that's on them, and they should never have made it that price point to begin with. Especially now with everything going
Yeah,
on,
I mean
I think this
I
makes
already
them
said
look
that.
worse in the FTC's eyes trying to get this deal to go through. I
I don't
genuinely
I
think they
don't
should have
know
waited until the FTC stuff went
I
away before they
don't know
did any
how
of this
this
stuff with
correlates
the
with the
console
FTC
increase
though.
because that was one of the counterpoints to them getting this acquisition was that it was going to raise the price of Game Pass, and if they're raising the price of Game Pass without the acquisition, there's more justification for them to do it again after the acquisition.
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know. I think that's a bit of a stretch on that one, but sure.
I mean, I get what you're trying to say, Bill, is by saying like if they would have price hiked after the acquisition, it looks bad. It doesn't look good, right?
Yeah.
It's a piss poor look, especially because they you know said that they wouldn't. I don't. I think we're over analyzing the price hike,
Yeah.
and I think this all comes down to the world economy, state of money, how much things are fucking
But also
costing,
it
and
also
all that
comes
kind of
down
things.
to
Like,
what we were talking about earlier with the streaming services. Like they're accustomed to a certain amount of people spending that kind of money, and now that people are going back into the workforce, now they're like, why the fuck are we seeing some huge dips in people subscribing to these things? So what's
right.
the natural progression for that? The natural progression is hike the price of the subscription, right? Like that's
Right.
just the
And
natural thing to do, in my personal
and
opinion.
price
Doesn't mean it's good.
price
Doesn't
hikes
mean it's bad
are
or good. I
right.
mean, I'm not saying that it's a good thing, but
No, I don't think you
Yeah.
are. Any price hike is anti-consumer in nature.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. I mean, all of this is to say all price hikes are fucking bad. What I think we can all agree on, though, as far as a digital service that's out there, when you're taking in Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Sony's, PlayStation Plus, which probably is the one that comes the closest to this as far as value. I think we can all agree that Game Pass's value to what you get for content is probably the most bang for its buck. I don't,
for
I
Yeah.
now at least,
I've gone
yeah,
through yeah, for now. I've gone through like Netflix, all that kind of like I don't Netflix is a whole
Yeah.
other fucking story.
for
So
sure, yeah.
um so moving on to other companies that are, kind of in the news and doing some different things and I think this is gonna be an interesting conversation as well. So EA, uh small, really small indie dev company. I don't know if a lot of you guys actually know who EA is. Electronic Arts, and they've not been around for a long time. There's like two people. No, I kid. This huge organization, been around forever. Electronic Arts, which was EA Games, is now being renamed to EA Entertainment, in a move to split itself from EA Sports into two separate organizations that used to basically just be EA Studios. Um, I think Enigma, you said that like this is in your head, this is a play for them to
Yeah,
split it off to get bought.
in my personal opinion, it feels like that. To me, they're looking at this Activision Blizzard acquisition and they're going, well, if they're having that many issues, like getting purchased as a whole, like the easiest, and we've seen it with Activision where they've already talked about possibly splitting the company out to sell it, right? After the initial FTC claims started happening, right? They were like, well, we could just split the company and sell it off individually. You know, that to me seems like, in my eyes, reading up about this, and when I heard about this originally, I was like, I'm wondering if that's like their initial steps into being like, hey, hey, Microsoft, you know, if you want to spend 69 billion on EA Entertainment, here you go. There you go. That's what it sounds
Yeah.
like to me personally. Granted,
Bill, what's your
it
take on this?
it could also just be that they're trying to separate the brands. Maybe they're, because like I know that EA's sports, like a lot of their sports stuff, is vastly different in monetization in comparison to their games.
It's their most
right?
profitable.
It's their most
biggest profit
profitable,
driver.
exactly. So that could be a big deal with it too, is they're just trying to split that off so that they can do even more stupid shady shit for the EA games shit without having to affect their games, but I highly doubt that.
Yeah.
Bill, your thoughts on this?
I don't really have much of an opinion on it. It just seems like a separating of the brands. I think it
I-
would be easier for them to dole out specific IPs if they so choose to. So yeah,
For
it
sure.
would be a little bit easier, like since it's not under the singular umbrella. But I don't think it's going to have much impact on EA as a company.
I do wonder what sparked my interest was in this was whenever when it siphoned off the sports part from it, because to me I think maybe what's keeping EA from the higher ups in the board of wanting to sell is the EA Sports, because
Yeah.
it is so profitable
It's
that maybe
huge
this was
profit.
like, hey, we're gonna keep EA Sports, but you guys can have everything else. Like you can
Exactly, yeah.
have the rest of this. If
Well,
you want it.
we've seen
Because
before
also,
that they don't give a shit about their base gaming franchises, right? Like
well,
the
I mean, they just moved over Star Wars: The Old Republic to a third party developer.
Yeah.
Like it's on its way over to third party, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't. Yeah, I mean, it's when you look at it, it's saying that basically Dice, Respawn, Ripple Effect, Ridgeline, which is Battlefield games, Full Circle, which is Skate, and Motive Studio, which is Iron Man, and Seattle Studio, BioWare, and the original EA labels will stay intact. And then they're gonna siphon off just the sports section to be its own thing. So I don't know. Yeah, it's it's interesting. Maybe Embracer Group is going to buy him. Who fucking knows? Embracer
I
Group
mean,
buys that. Buys
whatever
everything.
it is, it's going to be one of those things like they're going to be open for it. I think. I think that's why they're doing it. Is again, I think they're breaking off to sell. I think that's their major reason for doing it. Is they're trying to flag down these bigger companies and being like, hey, here's a juicy piece of meat. Come and get it. You know. To me, at
Well,
least.
talking about flagging down big companies to maybe buy them out, maybe Logitech should buy them. I know
Are we going to
you
talk
guys
about this?
said.
Are we really going to talk about this?
Yes, we need to talk about this. This is fucking
Oh
news.
my
This is
god.
this is crazy. Dude, come on. Like I get that this just happened, right? I understand there's maybe some I'm not going to shit talk anybody. All I'm just saying is that maybe when you're going to send, yourself that's a billionaire down to the bottom of the ocean, that you should probably use a device that is more than $30 and has terrible reviews on Amazon about disconnecting. If you don't
The
know what I am
controller
talking,
wasn't the problem, though.
it's just exemplifies more the issue. That's
But
kind
we
of like
don't
saying
we
like
don't
they,
actually know what the
It
problem
shows
is.
incompetence, but
It does
I
show
don't think it was the
incompetence,
issue.
yeah. It does show
I'm-
vast incompetence, but like they showed incompetence on a lot more than just the controller. But like I don't think the
I'm not
controller was an
saying
issue.
The controller was the only problem.
I don't even think the
just
controller was a
saying
problem in general. Like
that bro, that controller loses like if you read the reviews, it loses. Everybody says like it loses connections within like 4 feet of the fucking device that it's in front of. Why would you put it on a ship that's going to go down like 11, like 6 miles to the bottom of the ocean? Like it's not going to work. I'm just look if you don't know what we're talking about, there was 5 people, right?
Yeah.
so,
That
something like that.
unfortunately, lost their lives. They were on a privatized tour that the Ocean Gate CEO funded, who was also on the ship. Correct? We did
Yeah.
verify that he
Yeah, he
was one
was
of the
on the
ones that was
ship.
on the
Yeah.
ship as well. Um, and they took a private tour down to the bottom of the ocean to go see the Titanic. And they within matter of a few hours were lost and gone. And just recently, debris was found from the ship, the submarine. Part of this was that the and the part that I want to talk about is the nature of the internet. And just like you said, all of this stuff, like the Logitech controller, really didn't have. We don't know if it had anything necessarily to do with
Yeah.
the issue, but Logitech stock took a huge fucking hit,
No,
like
100%.
12%
Yeah.
dip hit. They lost $1 billion
Really? I didn't
in
realize that.
futures.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. Like, and the ratings on Amazon took a fucking even bigger blow. Like,
It's back up today. We're fine.
Oh, good. Thank God.
It's literally,
Thank God.
It's actually up 2% today.
Wait, 2% from the 12% dip? So we're still negative 10.
So
If it's 2% up from market close yesterday was
it's at
it was down.
55.7 right now.
So it's still down. Yeah, it's because it traded at 69 before.
Okay.
So either way, like it can are you I use my words. I know I get it. Can you scroll up a little bit to see the picture of him holding that fucking controller and the dude looking at him from CNN? Keep going, keep going, keep
Right
going,
there.
keep going. Right there, man. I'm like, dude, what the that says it all for this entire thing. Like I just uh why?
It's okay, man. It's
I don't
okay.
know. Like
I'm
I said,
sorry, Logitech.
we've been talking extensively about this in the podcast chat. Like we've gone over a bunch of stuff. Like the controller, yeah, probably not the best option, right? Like it's a multi-million-dollar company. He probably could have forked out a little bit more than $30 for a fucking controller, right?
Hell, he's a billionaire.
Obviously.
He could have forked some
Yeah.
out of his own pocket.
Obviously, he could have forked out a little bit more, but the controller was the least of the issues that were on that fucking submarine, right? There was blatant issues.
Didn't they buy parts from Camper World?
I don't know. There was blatant issues with the construction. There was blatant issues with how they loaded everything into there. There was blatant issues with how they locked everything in there. There was the front glass was just plexiglass. It was 7 inches of plexiglass, which the CEO in an interview actually stated, yeah, it's not very much. And in a when you go down and when you go and you put plexiglass under pressure, plexiglass before it fails will start cracking, will start crackling, it'll start making a sound, right? So you had plenty of time to get back up to the surface once it starts, crackling and shit.
And an 8-hour trip.
The other thing that was really concerning about that whole thing is, like, he also said that the plexiglass was a 7-inch piece of plexiglass, but under extreme pressures, it would actually shrink by 3/4 of an inch, I think was what it was. So that alone is not a great thing to be going on to begin with, considering you're going 8 hours down to the ocean. The descent takes them 8 hours to get down to the Titanic, right? It's just not a great, and obviously, if you guys don't know, it did come out that they found the wreckage. It imploded on itself. So they're not lost. They know where they're at, and it's just become a recovery mission at this point, which is sad. It's not a very this is not something to laugh at, obviously, but this is not a good look, obviously.
No, I will say, to bring this full circle back into gaming, because of this, the rise of Subnautica sales.
I did see that, yeah.
And an underwater horror game,
An indie dev horror game.
Iron Lung.
I don't know if it was Iron Lung or if it was.
I know Borrowed
Euro
Trauma is
Trauma.
one of them
Yeah.
that has also
Borrowed Trauma's fun. I played
has
it too.
seen a huge hike in sales.
Which is sad to me.
Just
The
also sad.
fact that it takes a submarine fucking failing and imploding on itself for people to fucking buy submarine games. That makes no sense. Come on, people.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't
It's,
get it, man. I really don't.
the world's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah.
The world we live in is fucking nuts. All right. And then wrapping up the major news. This is kind of all going to be quick hits because I don't, unless you guys want to spend a huge amount of time into Nintendo Direct, but Nintendo did have their Direct. I do want to give them the courtesy. Nintendo had a Direct, and they announced quite a bit of stuff. Detective Pikachu game is coming. Princess Peach is getting her own game. That's coming. We got new Mario Kart 8 DLC. Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon is being remastered. Batman Arkham series, the entire series is coming over to the Switch, also along with Vampire Survivors with couch co-op, and a new Super Mario game called Super Mario Bro. Wonder, which I love the fucking memes that are coming out of this because it's like everyone's like Animorphs and like you before Mario,
Animorphs and LSD.
yeah, dude, I swear to God, they're
The
just
magic
like
mushroom has never been so real.
how fucked up can we make Mario become? Like, what can we turn him into?
I now
You
see
know,
why Sin is so excited about this. It's because again, he's a furry.
yeah, animals. It's great. Yeah,
Animal
for
Wars,
sure.
man, 100%.
The one I'm actually the most excited about is Super Mario RPG remake. Like, I don't know if you guys have
Isn't
ever
that
played.
fucking sad?
Why?
Why?
Because
Wha-
the most excited thing that you have out of a Nintendo showcase is a remake.
But have you ever played Super Mario RPG?
Oh yeah, it's one of the greatest RPGs
it's
of all time.
Yeah,
fucking
I'll get it.
phenomenal.
But we're in the day and age of remakes. I'm guilty of it myself. Resident Evil 4 was one of my most anticipated games this year. And I don't know whether this is a good or a bad trend for the industry, but I mean, for nostalgia's sake, might as well enjoy it, right?
I mean, it's not a good thing for the industry. Yes, we should be pushing it forward, but I also think that I think it is speaks more to the fact that Nintendo, and this actually circles all the way back to the Microsoft stuff, that even Microsoft is saying like, hey, we want COD on your system. You need to come up with a bigger system. Like your system is you can no longer continue to kind of have this, and I think even Nintendo is like, we're starting to reach our peak, right, with this system. I mean, how old is this? The Switch came out when? Let's
Switch
take a look
came
here.
out in
Switch,
2017, didn't it?
yeah, 2017. So I mean, what most cycles, what, 8 years? So yeah, we're almost close to that 8 year
And
cycle.
they, and they have no intention of making a new one until didn't they say it was like 2025 or something like that? 2024?
That would be, yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's 2025. So I don't know. I just the Super Mario RPG is a
This is-
fucking phenomenal game.
I've
man.
I've
It's
got
that good
I've
of
got
an
the
RPG.
Super Mario RPG thing in the background right now. We're watching it. You're excited for this?
Dude. If you,
It's a 1-to-1 remake
a-
with better graphics.
it is a fucking phenomenal RPG. Like legitimately
is.
one of the best RPGs. It deserves to be one of the best. I know it looks. I'm telling you, man, it's fucking good.
So this brings up another issue that I'm having with remakes is the fact that we've basically segmented into two different brands of remakes, where one is a 1-to-1 ratio remake, like what Demon Souls was, like
For
what
sure.
this is, like what Dead Space is, like that middle ground. And then you have like
Demon
the full
Souls.
then you have the full remake that is a completely new game with the same, like the old game, same
Like
story, like what
FF7
Resident
remake
Evil
and
has
shit.
been doing,
Yeah.
and Final Fantasy 7 remake is doing. Like, I don't know, man. It's a weird place to be in the industry.
This baffles my mind that you're excited for this. Like I never
I mean,
would have.
Super Mario
I
RPG is an
just
amazing
said
RPG. It's
it's
100%
and I-
a good RPG.
and I
this
like
is gonna bring it to a
turn-based.
lot
I
of.
mean, I
this is
get
gonna-
I get that it's turn based, so it makes sense. But I'm just like, man, I would have never pegged fucking Sin for somebody that was like, yeah, for Super Mario RPG, let's go, baby.
Dude, you have to, like, if you like RPGs, you have to play this game. It is a phenomenal RPG. I know it sounds stupid, but I'm telling you, just because it's in this like goofy kid world does not mean that it is not. It's a fucking phenomenal game.
I don't
Like,
know. I don't like fucking Nintendo to begin with, so this is not for me. But I'm not their target demographic, so it is what it is.
yep, I don't know. I'm all for it, man.
Yeah.
But they also too. Let's look, Nintendo. Legends of Zelda is fucking the new one.
Where's my Metroid Prime 4?
Yeah, right.
Where's my
Yeah,
Metroid Prime 4, Nintendo?
You're not getting that one. You won't get that one.
Yeah.
Not for a while, but
Tears of the Kingdom's done really well, and as the the Joker said in The Dark Knight when XQC was streaming it. Nintendo was just like, "Where's the Italian?"
Yeah.
They're
So
bringing out a new Dark Knight as well.
no. It's not new. They're just
No,
taking the
They're,
trilogy and
they're
putting it
just
on the
remaking it
system.
or putting it on the
They're
system.
not
Okay.
remaking it. They're just putting it on the system. It's never been on the
Okay.
system before.
Okay.
yeah.
And
Good
then
segue, by the way.
yeah. So
Interesting.
so on top, all right. So that's that. The other side of quick. I mean, if you want to keep going through, we can go. Gloomhaven is going
that's
on
that's
to.
fine.
No.
I was just pulling this up because I had it in the background, so it was better than looking at the controller.
All right, we can go to the main screen.
We'll go to the
We're
main
good with-
podcast,
we're
yeah.
good- we'll go to the main podcast screen. So other quick hit news is, and we Enigma kind of joked about this, and we've all said about it. But the reason that he was making a joke about taking Final Fantasy 15, 16, and putting it on and getting a petition is because, well, some people thought it would be good to put a petition out to make Starfield an Sony exclusive. So
Demanding it.
Not
you know.
not simply
just-
just on the Sony console, but a full blown exclusive.
Yeah, a full blown exclusive. They don't want it on the Xbox. They want it PlayStation exclusive, which
People
so
be funny, man.
It's got how
People-
many? I think it's got like 900 signatures.
it,
right?
when I looked at it the other day, it had like 128 or something like that. Obviously,
I
it's
think
not
I think
real.
okay. Maybe
People be
I saw a
funny.
spoof, but it's yeah, that's hilarious. Another thing that's hilarious is I'm sure you guys have seen it, but if you haven't, and you see where it comes out that ChatGPT can generate Windows keys, it is
Yeah.
true,
Yeah,
but they are not full blown active Windows keys. So just know that like they're
that's crazy to me, man.
It'll generate. It's meant for like IT use and stuff like that.
I
on
thought they said it
VMware.
did work though.
No, it works.
work,
but it doesn't.
yeah.
It doesn't fully activate the system. It's a spoof activation, right? Like it.
So you'll
It's
have
not-
the activate Windows down in the corner.
No, that'll go away, but it's still not. It's not real. Like it's hard to explain. Like it's basically used for like VMware. Like IT services get these like codes that are just used for VMware to allow the system to kind of function, but not function, right? Like
Right.
so they're don't think that you're just going to get a fucking free key, and also don't think that Microsoft's not going to put a fucking kibosh on this shit faster than they can see. So
Yeah, it says right here.
um,
It's worth noting that the keys it shares are generic. These make it possible to install or on the operating system or upgrade to the operating system from a different operating system in question. But they are not the same as activation keys. You can use the OS, but it will be run under an inactive mode, which limits the features in Windows 11. So, or
How
in
many-
Windows programs.
over under, right? Best estimate. How many do you people do you think started to go? Let me see. Diablo 4 cash shop bucks. V bucks.
Right.
Generate like fucking Discord codes.
I
Like,
mean,
how many?
it's possible, man.
I'm
Dude,
just- I wonder how
AI is
many-
getting to a point where I don't know. It's starting to get scary. Like it's been scary. But
We had a
it's-
conversation about it the
yeah.
other day.
It's starting to get really fucking scary. Just like how the other day I was reading an article about AI, a military training exercise with AI. They were allowing the AI to run a drone.
Talking about the Air Force stuff, right?
Yeah, the Air Force stuff. They were allowing an AI to run a drone, a fake drone, essentially. And the operator was giving the AI commands. And essentially, the AI started to basically realize that in order to do its objective, in order to finish its objective, it had to kill the operator. So in the what's called the fake, whatever you want to call it, the war game they were playing, the AI killed the operator. And then when they told it, hey, you can't kill the operator, please don't kill the operator. The operator is the only thing standing between you and, or the operator is the only thing that, basically allows you to win this. Instead of killing the operator, it took out the communication device that it had between its operator and it.
No, it's
It's getting
yeah,
bad.
the AI
man.
said
Like,
no. The AI said no.
It's getting scary.
So yeah, just be careful with what you're getting from ChatGPT. Just saying.
Yeah.
We already talked about the D4 hardcore statue that is complete. All 1,000 people have been done. And that will,
took longer than I thought it would, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. At a certain point, I don't even care anymore. I'm just like, oh, cool, it's a challenge, whatever. Like I said, nobody cares anymore. It's done and over with. And then also BattleBit Remastered finally launched.
Dope,
We
man.
talked about this
Yeah.
a while ago. It launched at $15.99 or $14.99. I have played a little bit of it. It runs smoothly. I plan on having a stream of it so we can talk about it next week on the show. But
I need to grab it at some
It's
point.
about
I had a lot of fun playing it. I just I haven't had the time nor the money to snag it. It's
It's stable.
$15. It's an extremely good deal. Like if you've got the money for it, go and get it. I think it's a better option than any of the other shooters that are out there currently, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's really good.
So if you've got the money for it and you're looking for a shooter, go and check it out. BattleBit Remastered on Steam, $15. Great development team. I think it's being developed by like a group of like 4, maybe less than that. So go and
don't let the graphics don't let the
support 'em.
graphics fool you.
dude,
So-
and like even with the bit, like the 8-bit graphics and like the Minecraft graphics, it still is impressive. Like I was severely impressed with how high fidelity they were when we were playing it the last time. So
It's good. So that's the show, guys. 87 is in the books.
In the bag.
We will be back next week. Come hell or high water, we will be on at 10:30 Eastern. I promise you that. But
Yes.
it is
Yes.
it's been a great show. It's been a great comeback. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know we ran a little bit over, but we also started a little bit over. So technically, if we would have started on time, we would have been ended on time. So I'm just saying, kudos to this chat and this community and this team for being able to get through the amount of stuff that we had to talk about on time. So if this is your first time being here, you always can catch us live on YouTube as well as Twitch every Thursday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Or go check out, any of the VODs, or go check out any of the past broadcasts. And like I said, now there's 87 of them that you can listen to. And you can get it on YouTube. You can get it on Twitch. You can get it on Spotify, your favorite podcasting app, anchor.fm/pre-patch podcast. There's a billion places that you can go get us and make sure that you listen to us 4 idiots, Jonathan, talk about shit
Yeah.
and crap. So
very true.
anyway, much love to every single one of you. I'm super happy to be back. We'll catch you guys
Happy to have
next
you back,
week.
bud.
See ya.
Arrivederci,
Bye.
baby.
That's the cue to hit the button and go out.
Did you dipshit? Shut up.
Installation.